Chapter 1588. Is it really that dangerous? It can't be a lie, right? Wang Duo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and spat out this sentence. It was just controlling a computer. If it failed, would the computer explode? This was not a sci-fi movie. Wang Duo, do you not believe my brother's words? Hang Zijie worshipped his brother, Hang Ziliang. Hearing Wang Duo doubt his brother's words, Hang Zijie immediately shouted. Wang Duo curled her lips after being yelled at by Hang Zijie. She didn't say anything. Yin Jian sat on the sofa. She narrowed her eyes and did not say anything. Strange, why isn't your aunt back yet? Why don't I call her to hurry her up? Qin Yiru sat beside Yin Jian and said suspiciously. Then, she took out her phone and dialed a number. Since you're sick, why did you go out? Yin Jian cut to the chase. Qin Fangfang was sick. Why did she go shopping with her husband, Sun Baiwen? Shouldn't a sick person stay at home or rest in bed? Hearing Yin Jian's words, Qin Yiru's right eyelid twitched. She quickly called Qin Fangfang's phone. Beep beep beep, beep beep beep. At this moment, a phone rang in the living room. Qin Yiru turned around in surprise and saw Qin Fangfang's mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang, hurriedly take out Qin Fangfang's phone from her pocket and press the button to hang up. This time, Qin Yiru really felt that something was wrong. She quickly stood up and walked towards Zhu Hengxiang. However, when she was about 3 meters away from Zhu Hengxiang, Qin Yiru stopped and asked Zhu Hengxiang, "Why do you have my sister's phone?" Qin Yiru immediately stood up and Yin Jian walked over. When Zhu Hengxiang heard this, she was so shocked that she almost tripped. In the past, when Zhu Hengxiang appeared in front of Qin Yiru, she looked like a rich old lady. She was so arrogant that her nose almost reached the sky. However, Zhu Hengxiang didn't put on airs when they met today. Didn't she go out with Baiwen? They'll be back soon. She asked me to leave her phone behind. Zhu Hengxiang's eyes darted around even more. Just as she said this, a disheveled figure rushed out of the spiral staircase. The man's hair was messy, and his long hair swayed in the wind. There were red marks on his hands and feet, indicating that he had been tied by iron chains. As soon as the figure appeared, the surrounding people were a little surprised. Zhu Hengxiang's expression changed greatly. Why did she come out? Wasn't it locked properly? The figure raised his head, revealing a young and well-maintained face. It was Qin Fangfang. Sister. She was spouting nonsense. She's lying to you. In order to prevent me from revealing our family's dirty laundry, they imprisoned me. 2 months ago, I found out that bastard Sun Baiwen had cheated on me. I want to divorce Sun Baiwen. They were afraid that this matter would get out of hand and affect their aristocratic families too much, so they chained me up and didn't let me leave. Save me. Save me. Qin Fangfang was very smart. After being imprisoned by her mother-in-law, she realized that she couldn't escape, so she secretly unlocked the chains without anyone noticing. This time, she heard Qin Yiru's voice, so she rushed out to ask for help. You're lying. How could my Baiwen have cheated on you? You're the one who didn't follow the rules. After being discovered, Zhu Hengxiang still refused to admit it. My daughter. You vicious woman. Vicious woman. Zhang Meihua screamed and rushed towards Zhu Hengxiang. Zhu Hengxiang was at a disadvantage in the argument, but she immediately used the most vicious words to insult Qin Fangfang. She didn't pretend anymore. Bah! She's just a hen that can't lay eggs. So what if my son has a mistress outside? Isn't it because your daughter can't lay eggs? Our Sun family needs someone to inherit the family property. She didn't want Qin Fangfang to spread her family's dirty laundry. That was the reason why she imprisoned Qin Fangfang. Seeing Qin Yiru crying after seeing Qin Fangfang like this, Yun Jian's heart tightened. In the next second, under everyone's eyes, Yun Jian rushed to Zhu Hengxiang who was tearing Zhang Meihua apart. She grabbed Zhu Hengxiang and slapped her to the ground. Then, she grabbed Zhu Hengxiang's collar and lifted her up. Chapter 1589. The surrounding people were so frightened by the turn of events that they took a few steps back. What was going on? Why was Zhu Hengxiang's daughter-in-law, Qin Fangfang, imprisoned by Zhu Hengxiang? What was going on? The people who came today were all Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends. Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends even brought their own children over. That was why Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and the other children who were about the same age as Yun Jian were here. However, the people present never expected such a scene to happen. Zhu Hengxiang actually imprisoned her daughter-in-law. According to Zhu Hengxiang's daughter-in-law, Qin Fangfang, it was because Zhu Hengxiang's son, Sun Baiwen, had an affair. Qin Fangfang wanted a divorce after finding out. Then, Zhu Hengxiang was afraid that her family's dirty linen would be exposed. After all, a wealthy family like Zhu Hengxiang couldn't tolerate any scandals. Therefore, Zhu Hengxiang imprisoned Qin Fangfang to prevent her from getting a divorce. Zhu Hengxiang's son had an affair, but she didn't agree with Qin Fangfang and her son's divorce. Instead, she said that her son had an affair. She scolded Qin Fangfang as a hen that couldn't lay eggs. She said that the Sun family needed someone to inherit the family property. The surrounding people trembled with fear when they heard that. They were glad that they had nothing to do with the Sun family. However, what surprised the surrounding people was not this, but Yun Jian, who looked so thin and weak, actually walked over and slapped Zhu Hengxiang to the ground. Yun Jian's hacking skills had already stunned Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, Duan Qingxian, and the others. Now, Yun Jian's move made them widen their eyes in shock. Wasn't she a thin and weak little girl? How could she have such great strength? Moreover, she had said to Zhu Xiuxiang, "Old woman, you're dead." Oh my, Si Xiang, what the hell is going on? What do you mean your son has an affair? What's going on? Your son usually looks like an honest person. How could he do something like having an affair? A very gossipy old woman walked over from the side. She frowned and asked as she walked over. Qin Fangfang's husband, Sun Baiwen, was an honest person. However, people changed when they had money. Especially since Qin Fangfang had been married to Sun Baiwen for so many years, her stomach had not made any sound. As her mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang couldn't wait for Qin Fangfang, a hen that couldn't lay eggs, to get out of her house. However, if news of Sun Baiwen's divorce got out, it would not only be bad, but it would also affect his business. The Sun family was running a car marketing company. At the same time, they were working with others. Reputation was very important to the Sun family. Therefore, even if Qin Fangfang was imprisoned, Zhu Hengxiang would not let her go. However, he did not expect that Qin Fangfang would seize the opportunity to escape from the room after unlocking the chains. I must have been blind to have followed Sun Baiwen. Although your Sun family is rich, at least you won't look down on others. I misjudged you. Sun Baiwen was a bastard. This marriage must be divorced. Qin Fangfang was a very strong woman. She was innocent, bitter, and upset, but she would not show it. Instead, she yelled at Zhu Hengxiang and even slapped her several times in front of Zhu Hengxiang. As Zhu Hengxiang was being suppressed by Yun Jian, she could not move. She could only use vicious words to fight back against Qin Fangfang. For a moment, the emotions at the scene were extremely difficult to control. If you want to divorce, just divorce. Do you think our Sun family is so easy to bully? Since you married into our Sun family, you have to live like an ox or a horse. My son just wants to have an heir. What did he do? You can't have a child, so he found a woman to have a child. Is he wrong? I didn't ask you to give up the position of the main wife. What era is it now? Do you have to be so calculative? So many people want to be the daughter-in-law of our Sun family. You should be content. Zhu Hengxiang's scolding became worse and worse. However, just as the surrounding people were disturbed by the quarrel and did not dare to make a sound for fear of implicating themselves, Yun Jian slapped Zhu Hengxiang to the ground again. She flipped her hand and a butterfly knife appeared in her hand. The knife was thrown to the corner of Zhu Hengxiang's clothes under the horrified eyes of the surrounding people. It directly pierced the corner of Zhu Hengxiang's clothes. However, the knife bounced back to Yun Jian's hand with the help of the ground. Yun Jian held the butterfly knife. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes were cold. She looked at Zhu Hengxiang as if the god of death had arrived. Under everyone's eyes, she said something that made people's hair stand on end. Chapter 1590. Yun Jian had always been protective of her own people. Respecting the old and loving the young didn't exist in her world. She wasn't a good person or a saint. What happened to Zhu Hengxiang and whether Zhu Hengxiang's son, Sun Baiwen, cheated on her had nothing to do with her. In spite of it, Zhu Hengxiang had imprisoned Qin Fangfang. Looking at Qin Fangfang, who was covered in injuries from being chained up, her wrists and ankles marked with red marks of being chained up, Qin Yiru could not utter a word as she clutched her chest in agony. Even if it wasn't for Qin Fangfang, Yun Jian knew that if she didn't do anything, Qin Yiru wouldn't pretend that she didn't see anything. Qin Yiru wouldn't have the upper hand against a shrew like Zhu Hengxiang. Therefore, Yun Jian wouldn't sit by and do nothing. Heng Zijia, Wang Duo, Duan Qingxian, and the people who were watching the show but didn't dare to make a sound were all shocked when they saw Yun Jian carrying a knife. She actually carried a knife with her. Was she ready to fight at any time? And judging from how skilled she was, it was obviously not her first time doing this. Even if something like this happened, it's an adult's matter. Why is a child like her getting involved? And she's even swinging that stupid knife. She thinks she knows how to swing it. She's really good. Wang Duo, who was standing beside Heng Zijia, saw Yun Jian twirling the butterfly knife. She was envious and jealous. If she knew how to swing a knife, she would be the one being watched. It was because of jealousy that Wang Duo said this. Wang Duo didn't get a reply. On the other side, everyone was shocked by Yun Jian taking out the butterfly knife. Zhu Hengxiang was no exception. Zhu Hengxiang was an old woman who was afraid of death. She never thought of dying when she argued with Qin Fangfang. Therefore, when she saw Yun Jian taking out the butterfly knife, poking the corner of her clothes with it, and catching it with the force of throwing it, Zhu Hengxiang was the closest to Yun Jian. Seeing this, her face changed color. You! How dare you! How dare you kill me in front of everyone! Call the police! Call the police for me! Call the police! Call the police to save him! Zhu Hengxiang was lying on her side on the ground. She supported herself with her elbows and watched in horror as Yun Jian called for help from the people around her. Zhu Hengxiang might have forgotten that she had imprisoned Qin Fangfang for 2 months. She had tortured Qin Fangfang until she was neither a human nor a ghost. What Zhu Hengxiang had done was illegal. No one dared to move. You're the one I'm going to kill. Zhu Hengxiang, Qin Fangfang, have been married to your family for so many years. I have been with Sun Baiwen since he was not as rich as he is now. But what about you? How dare you treat me like this? I, Qin Fangfang, cannot accept it. She wanted a divorce. But you imprisoned me. You want to call the police? We don't need you to call the police. I'll call the police. I want to sue you for imprisoning me. Qin Fangfang gritted her teeth and forced herself not to cry. She wanted to use the most rational and legal means to protect herself. But before that, she wanted to take revenge for the humiliation she had suffered at Zhu Hengxiang's hands. Qin Fangfang walked over and raised her hand. Just as she was about to slap Zhu Hengxiang's face, a furious voice came from the main entrance. Qin Fangfang! How dare you! How dare you hit my mother! It was Sun Baiwen, Qin Fangfang's seemingly honest husband. After Sun Baiwen shouted, he pulled a young woman in his hand and walked towards Qin Fangfang from the main entrance while shouting. This young woman was Sun Baiwen's cheating partner. She was commonly known as the mistress. At this moment, the rather good-looking mistress, who was wearing fashionable clothes, looked up and glanced at Qin Fangfang smugly. She looked as if she was provoking Qin Fangfang. Needless to say, Sun Baiwen's cheating was a foregone conclusion. And the most important thing was that he dared to bring his mistress home directly. Qin Fangfang was furious. Fortunately, Qin Yiru hugged her and comforted her, so she did not do anything rash. At this moment, Zhu Hengxiang suddenly got up from the ground. She stood up and immediately tried to push Qin Fangfang and Qin Yiru down. At the same time, she shouted, "Ah! Go to hell! Go to hell! B*TCH! How dare you hit me just now?" Everyone was shocked. Just when everyone thought that Qin Fangfang and Qin Yiru would be pushed to the ground by Zhu Hengxiang, who suddenly got up, a figure flashed by. Before Zhu Hengxiang could stand up, she was sent flying 5 meters away by Yun Jian's kick. She was paralyzed on the ground, unable to get up for the time being. Zhu Hengxiang was in pain. Before anyone could react, Yun Jian had already grabbed the butterfly knife and walked towards Zhu Hengxiang. Chapter 1591. Qin Yiru was comforting Zhu Hengxiang when she got up from the floor and extended her aged hands in an attempt to push Qin Yiru and Qin Fangfang down. Yun Jian was enraged. No one was allowed to lay a hand on Qin Yiru, no exceptions. "You! How dare you lay a hand on my mom?" Sun Baiwen obviously remembered Yun Jian, so he only roared at Yun Jian, not daring to do anything to Yun Jian. Back in Longmen City, Sun Baiwen was terrified when he found out that Yun Jian was the director of New Cruise. Yun Jian was Qin Fangfang's niece and the director of New Cruise. Sun Baiwen was slightly afraid when he first cheated. Qin Fangfang's relatives could not threaten him at all. The only one who could was New Cruise's director, Yun Jian. Later, the mistress named Song Ling seduced him. Sun Baiwen was a normal man and it had been so many years, but Qin Fangfang's stomach did not make any noise at all. Sun Baiwen wanted to be a father too, so he went with the flow and hooked up with the mistress named Song Ling. Everything was so natural. In the end, Sun Baiwen even dared to enter and exit in front of Qin Fangfang with his mistress, Song Ling. Sun Baiwen used to be a man who valued relationships, but everything changed when he became rich. It was his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, who wanted to push Qin Fangfang and Qin Yiru to the floor, but Yun Jian retaliated. Sun Baiwen did not even care about Qin Fangfang as he roared at Yun Jian. Qin Fangfang was heartbroken. She stood where she was with her head hung low. If it were not for Qin Yiru supporting her, she could not even stand properly. What could be more pathetic than the person who had been sleeping beside her for so many years standing in front of her with his mistress and yelling at her? The atmosphere at the scene was extremely gloomy. In the distance, Heng Ziliang, Heng Zijia, Wang Duo, and the others didn't know whether to leave or stay. From the looks of it, they stood there awkwardly. Many of Zhu Hengxiang's relatives were still standing around. Seeing the scandal of Zhu Hengxiang's family, they didn't know whether to leave or stay. It was extremely awkward. "Baiwen, don't be angry. Let's call the police. Let the police arrest them." The mistress, Song Ling, was holding onto Sun Baiwen's arm. Her round breasts were almost touching the inside of Sun Baiwen's arm. She had the nerve to speak to Sun Baiwen. "Yes, yes. Call the police. Call the police." Sun Baiwen said as he took out his mobile phone from his pocket and was about to make a call. Yun Jian strode towards Zhu Hengxiang. She walked up to Zhu Hengxiang and grabbed her collar. She lifted the half-conscious Zhu Hengxiang up and patted her face with the butterfly knife. "Go ahead and call the police. I believe that my knife can stab into her head before you make the call." Yun Jian lazily swung the butterfly knife in her hand. The knife swayed and almost brushed past Zhu Hengxiang's head. Sun Baiwen was so frightened that he quickly put down his phone. In comparison, his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, was still very important to him. "Murder is illegal. You're so young and yet you're learning to threaten people. Don't you think it's shameful?" Wang Duo, who was standing in the distance, saw Yun Jian's insolence again and again. She couldn't help but stand up and say something that she thought was fair. At this point, Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and the others who were about the same age as Yun Jian. Sun Baiwen was certain that Yun Jian wouldn't dare to make a move. Just as everyone thought so, Yun Jian raised the butterfly knife and stabbed it into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh in front of everyone. Ah! Zhu Hengxiang, who was in a semi-conscious state, screamed out in pain and fainted. She actually dared to make a move. That could kill someone. Chapter 1592. Everyone was shocked by Yun Jian's actions. They all thought that Yun Jian did not have the courage to hurt Zhu Hengxiang. She did not even have the courage to hurt Zhu Hengxiang even a little bit. After all, murder was illegal. Although Yun Jian did not kill Zhu Hengxiang, she did hurt her. If there were no acquaintances in the police station, Yun Jian would not be in jail at her age, but she would not be in a good state either. You actually dared to hurt my mom. Ah! I'm going to kill you. After Sun Baiwen reacted, he wanted to rush towards Yun Jian. However, the mistress, Song Ling, grabbed his hand and did not let Sun Baiwen rush over. To be honest, if Sun Baiwen was determined, the mistress, Song Ling, would not be able to stop Sun Baiwen from rushing over. However, Sun Baiwen was afraid of Yun Jian from the bottom of his heart. That was why he was held back by Song Ling. Yun Jian saw Sun Baiwen's cowardice. She only smiled coldly. The knife stabbed into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh. It was enough to make Zhu Hengxiang suffer, but she would not die immediately. Yun Jian controlled her strength and position very well. The knife would not touch Zhu Hengxiang's main artery, so she would not die. Even if she was sent to the hospital 3 hours later, as long as the knife was not pulled out, she would not die. However, Zhu Hengxiang would also suffer a lot of pain. If the knife stabbed into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh, even if Zhu Hengxiang did not die, she would be in extreme pain. Don't blame Yun Jian for being cruel. Qin Fangfang had been imprisoned in the room by Zhu Hengxiang for the past 2 months. She had suffered a lot. Compared to the first time she saw Qin Fangfang, Yun Jian could clearly feel that Qin Fangfang had lost at least 10 kilograms. She was all skin and bones. Yun Jian's move scared Qin Fangfang, Qin Yiru, and Zhang Meihua. She actually dared to do it. Compared to Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, and the others, Wang Duo was so scared that her face was pale. She's not an ordinary person. Hang Ziliang narrowed his eyes and stared at Yun Jian. Just as Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and Duan Qingxian were so scared that their faces turned white, he softly spat out these words. Just now, when Yun Jian demonstrated her hacking skills in front of them, Hang Ziliang felt that Yun Jian was not an ordinary person. This feeling was very strong. Although Wang Duo was scared of Yun Jian's ruthless look just now, she was still not convinced, especially when Yun Jian had been eye-catching. Therefore, Wang Duo curled her lips and complained in a low voice, "She doesn't have 3 legs, how is she not an ordinary person?" Inside an Han organization. The Han organization was huge. If they were to walk, it would take more than a day and a night to reach the end of an Han organization from one side to the other. Even by car, it would take a few hours. At this moment, in one of an Han organization's villas, Si Luo was sitting on the spot, bored. She was holding a bouquet of fresh flowers that she had just picked from outside and gently inserted them into the vase. Ever since Shuang brought her here, she had been watched by the female housekeeper at the door to prevent her from escaping. Seeing that the housekeeper had gone to the toilet, Si Luo's eyes flickered. She stood up immediately and dashed out. She wanted to leave this place. She did not want to stay with him. However, just as Si Luo rushed out of the door, she crashed into a sturdy chest. Si Luo's heart clenched. She looked up in fear and saw Shui Ying's dark face. Without a word, Shuang grabbed her wrist and dragged Si Luo into the house. "Let me go, I want to stay with Sister Qing Yu and the rest." Si Luo was thrown onto the bed by Shuang. She looked at him fearfully, still refusing to let him go. She still could not understand why he would not let her go. She slept on the same bed with him every day. Would she get pregnant? Chapter 1593. Shuang cupped Si Luo's mouth, which was still rambling on. He panted heavily as he kissed Si Luo's lips. The kiss sent Si Luo into a frenzy again. Her lips were bitten by Shuang and she could not break free. Her hands pounded on Shuang's chest but to no avail. Just as Si Luo was panicking and was about to break free from Shuang's embrace, Shuang suddenly let go of her lips and whispered gently into her ear, "I'm sorry. I like you, so don't leave me." As he spoke, he naturally reached out and grabbed her small hand that was pounding his chest. It was Shuang's first time saying something like that to her, so Si Luo was completely stunned. It was not that Si Luo did not have feelings for Shuang, but she did not know if what she felt for him was love. "So don't think about leaving me, Shuang stared into her eyes and said solemnly. Si Luo was surprised, but for some reason, she felt a warmth in her heart. For some reason, Si Luo looked at Shuang's perfect face, which only had a deep scar on his neck. She nodded subconsciously. Country Z, Pudong City, Gan Province, Sun Baiwen's house. The atmosphere was still crumbling. Sun Baiwen was pale. Being pulled by Song Ling, he dared not go to Yunjian himself, so he could only watch as his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, fainted with blood on her thigh. "Xiao Jian, don't kill her." Qin Yiru was afraid that Yunjian would really kill Zhu Hengxiang. She was not afraid that Zhu Hengxiang would die, but that Yunjian would ruin her life because of Zhu Hengxiang. After all, this was a society ruled by law. Yunjian had wanted to scare Sun Baiwen, but seeing that Qin Yiru was afraid that something would happen to her, Yunjian spoke frankly. "She won't die." Zhu Hengxiang's injuries looked serious and she had fainted, but for some reason, Qin Yiru was not worried anymore after hearing what her daughter Yunjian said. "Won't die? She's so hurt. Do you think you're an executioner in the underworld? That's a human life we're talking about." Wang Duo couldn't help but speak up again. Her tone was as if she was very kind and Yunjian was a big bad person who was beyond redemption. At this moment, Yunjian's phone rang. Yunjian ignored Wang Duo's righteous clamor and picked up the phone. The people around couldn't hear what the person on the other end of the phone said, but Yunjian lowered her eyes and said to the person on the other end of the phone, "Come in." "Come in?" What did he come in for? The surrounding people were very puzzled. "Yunjian, do you think this is fun? Aren't you going to call the ambulance? Do you have to be so vicious? You can't be so vicious." Wang Duo couldn't help but ask after hearing Yunjian's words. However, before Wang Duo could finish speaking, a delicate and pretty figure walked in through the door. Seeing this, the surrounding crowd was drawn over. It was Qin Yu. "Who's this?" The people around them frowned as they watched Qin Yu walk in. "What are you trying to do?" Wang Duo rolled her eyes. Qin Yu went straight to Yunjian and told Yunjian in front of the crowd, "Sister Jian, the blood babies have moved. Sister Jian, the blood dolls are on the move. Master told me that they might have found you and might attack you anytime soon. That was why she had rushed here from Longmen City." Qin Yu enunciated each word to Yunjian with a grim expression. "Pfft! Blood babies? What blood babies? Were they having a house party? They're attacking her? Does she think she's some boss of Long Shao or some underground organization?" Wang Duo could not help guffawing when she heard what Qin Yu said to Yunjian. Before Wang Duo could finish, Hang Ziliang's expression changed. He looked at Yunjian and Qin Yu in front of everyone and asked, "Are you talking about the blood babies? Is the blood doll you're talking about the underground assassin organization that rose to power recently in Southeast Asia and swallowed all the organizations in Southeast Asia as fast as possible?" Chapter 1594. Hang Ziliang was a hacker. Even if he did not usually hear about the rise of a major assassin organization like Blood Doll, he could search for it on his computer. At Hang Ziliang's age, coupled with his current hacking skills, he could already be considered a talented person. Some organizations even went to invite Hang Ziliang to join their organizations after hearing about his deeds, but were all rejected by Hang Ziliang. There was no shortage of hackers who came into contact with computers. Naturally, Hang Ziliang, who had access to computers, could find out about the rising blood doll from various channels and how it had swept through all the girl organizations in Southeast Asia in the shortest time possible. Now that the triad was abuzz, Blood Doll's ability and influence had spread throughout Southeast Asia, becoming an assassin organization that was second only to An Hun Group and Kosha mercenaries. Therefore, when he heard what Qin Yu said to Yun Jian, Hang Ziliang was dumbfounded. When he recovered, he was deeply terrified. Qin Yu tilted her head, her long black hair flowing in the wind. She turned around when Hang Ziliang told her about the blood baby. Her long hair flowed in the wind as her deep black eyes stared at Hang Ziliang sharply. You. Hang Ziliang stuttered under Qin Yu's stare. He gulped and did not say anything else. Sister Jian, do you need me to end him? Qin Yu stood beside Yun Jian with a dark expression. Her usual playfulness and exuberance were gone, replaced by indifference. Did it not mean that she was going to kill him? Hearing Qin Yu's words, the people around them subconsciously took a few steps back. The girl who was called in by Yun Jian had a piercing gaze. It was not as intimidating as Yun Jian's, but when Qin Yu came, everyone felt like Yun Jian was the boss of some organization. Moreover, the girl who just came in just now had called Yun Jian Sister Jian. Why did Yun Jian look so much like a mafia boss? Are you guys going to kill him in public? This is a lawful society. Wang Duo was shocked when she saw Qin Yu looking over, even though it was not directed at her. By one. Hurry up and chase these lunatics away. Isn't this your home? What nonsense are they spouting? The mistress, Song Ling, felt chills running down her spine when she heard Yun Jian and Qin Yu's words and actions. She then rubbed her quivering chest against Sun Baiwen's arm in an even more exaggerated manner. Qin Fangfang was helped upstairs by Qin Yiru and Zhang Meihua before Qin Yu entered. This matter was naturally not over, but according to Qin Fangfang's current state, if she were to face Sun Baiwen and the mistress, Song Ling, walking confidently in front of her, her state would definitely collapse. Therefore, Qin Yiru and Zhang Meihua helped Qin Fangfang upstairs. Qin Yiru and the other two did not see what happened just now. Don't try to scare us with your professional words. Qin Fangfang may be your aunt, but this is our family's business. What assassin organization? Nonsense. Even if you use such professional words to scare me, this still happened. I won't agree to divorce Qin Fangfang, Sun Baiwen told Yun Jian solemnly. He hugged the mistress in his arms but pretended to be manly. However, before he could finish, another silhouette dashed in through the door. It was Gu Nianji who came in light. Gu Nianji was dressed in a black casual outfit. She held a pistol in her hand as she dashed in and spoke to Qin Yu and Yun Jian with a frown. Blood Doll's people are here. They're right outside. As she spoke, Gu Nianji tossed the pistol in her hand to Yun Jian. Gu Nianji had completely surrendered to Yun Jian now. The crowd could only watch as Yun Jian caught the pistol that might or might not be a real one nimbly and caught the bullet that Gu Nianji tossed over. She loaded the gun and loaded it. Gu Nianji did not even need to lower her head to complete the series of actions. Chapter 1595. Yun Jian's cold back view, paired with her high ponytail, looked slender from the back despite her short-sleeved shirt and shorts. Her figure was just right, and she was full of energy like a grim reaper who was ready to kill at any moment. The people standing behind Yun Jian were stunned for a moment. Did they just see the grim reaper from hell? Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, Hang Ziliang, and Duan Xingxian could not help gulping. Many of the people around them were Zhu Hengxiang's relatives, but no one cared about Zhu Hengxiang, who was lying unconscious on the ground and had just been stabbed in the thigh by Yun Jian. Everyone present was shocked by Yun Jian's attack. Especially Sun Baiwen and Song Ling. Sun Baiwen even said that Yun Jian had purposely called Qin Yu over to say what she said in front of everyone. He even described what Qin Yu said to Yun Jian about the blood baby as a pretentious professional. When they saw Gu Nianji, who rushed into the house, everyone was shocked, including Sun Baiwen. Especially when they saw the shiny black pistol in Gu Nianji's hand, everyone's hearts clenched tightly. However, the first thought that came to their minds was that the gun must be a fake. However, they watched as Yun Jian took the pistol, took the bullets Gu Nianji tossed over, loaded it, and loaded the gun. They were completely dumbfounded. Was this a real gun? Yun Jian was already walking out of the door. Qing Yu and Gu Nianji followed closely behind Yun Jian. "They're serious." Hang Ziliang frowned and grabbed a handful of his hair as he followed. Although Sun Baiwen and Song Ling were scared, their curiosity drove them to follow. Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and the adults present followed them curiously. So what if the gun in Yun Jian's hand looked like the real thing? Technology was so advanced now that it was not difficult for a fake gun to look like the real thing. Everyone followed Yun Jian's footsteps, wanting to see what tricks Yun Jian was up to. They wanted to see what Yun Jian was up to. Did she really think that she was some big shot on the international stage who was being hunted down by an assassin organization? Now, she wanted to play the role of a hero and Superman to save the world. Hee, how could such a thing happen to ordinary people like them? Therefore, it could be said that the people present did not believe the conversation between Yun Jian, Qing Yu, and Gu Nianji. When she ran out, Wang Duo followed Yun Jian's footsteps and said to the people standing around her, "TSK, what is that? Does Yun Jian really think that she is the savior of the world? How can that assassin organization deal with someone like her who has no status at all? Do they have nothing better to do?" To Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and the others, the term assassin organization was a group that they would never come into contact with in their lives. Therefore, when he saw Yun Jian running out and saying that the assassin organization called Blood Doll had appeared, he was shocked. Whether it was Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, Sun Baiwen, or the mistress, Song Ling, they all came out with the mentality that they wanted to see what Yun Jian was up to. However, when Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others stepped out of the villa, they heard a series of bang 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 sniper rifle shots. A real gun? A real gun. Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others retreated in fear, but at the same time, they saw a sniper rifle coming from nowhere and shooting at Yun Jian, who was running in that direction. However, what happened next shocked Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others even more. They saw Yun Jian dive to the ground when the sniper rifle shot at her, dodging the bullets skillfully. That silhouette was as agile as the king of the jungle. That was a real sniper rifle. A real bullet. She actually dodged the sniper rifle's shots. That's scientifically impossible. Hang Ziliang was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Chapter 1596. The people around them included Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, the hacker expert Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends. Their eyes were fixed on the scene in front of them. They were so shocked and terrified that they could not be described with words. Everyone present, whether it was Sun Baiwen, Hang Ziliang, or the others, were all ordinary people. Country Z did not allow guns and ammunition. Therefore, in a peaceful and stable place like Country Z, it was the most suitable place for ordinary people to live and reproduce. Because in Country Z, there was no need to be afraid of people shooting people on the streets. Of course, unless the smugglers had passed through the heavy security checks and brought the firearms into Country Z. However, Country Z's jurisdiction was very strict. Such a situation rarely happened. This also showed that Sun Baiwen and his group were indeed ignorant. They could not even imagine the scene in front of them. This was a very normal thing. As for Sun Baiwen and his group, as a teenager, they should study hard, listen to their parents, and be good children. Those who were disobedient were the more troublesome children in the eyes of others. They would hang out with some shady people in society all day long and enjoy that kind of life. But Yun Jian? She didn't fit into either category. What she did was beyond the acceptable range of everyone present. She actually held a handgun and rushed over to avoid the sniper rifle surprise attack. Everyone's first thought was that she had provoked someone. How could she have such shocking skills? Look over there. Those are cards written in blood. It's really Blood Doll. I heard that Blood Doll's people would scatter a large number of cards written in blood before they appear. That's the symbol of Blood Doll. Hang Ziliang's hand trembled slightly as he pointed at the cards that floated over from nowhere in the distance and said to everyone in panic. It's really the assassin organization called Blood Doll. Then, what should we do? Are we going to die here? Wang Duo was already frightened by the sniper rifle's bullets that were fired at Yunjian. She had a bitter and pale face as she said these words in an extremely cold voice. As soon as she said this, Wang Duo's face turned ferocious. She gritted her teeth and said, "It's all Yunjian's fault. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be in such danger." Just as she finished her sentence, everyone saw Yunjian evade the first wave of sniper fire. While the sniper was still reloading, she spoke to Qin Yu and Gu Nianji who were following closely behind her. 9:00 on the left, 34 meters away, 9 floors in the air, 2 snipers. 2:00 on the right, 45 meters away, 12 floors in the air, 3 snipers. As for the remaining 5 snipers at 12:00, leave them to me. When Yunjian was dodging the bullets of the 10 snipers, he had already calculated the hiding position, distance, floor, and position of the 10 snipers. She stood where she was, alert of her surroundings, but spoke to Qin Yu and Gu Nianji in her calmest tone. Got it. Got it. Qin Yu and Gu Nianji obeyed. They put away their pistols swiftly and put them back into their pockets without looking before running to the left and right respectively. Sun Baiwen and the rest who were standing where they were could even see Qin Yu and Gu Nianji taking out knives from their pockets and holding them in their palms as they ran. In addition to their balanced speed, they looked just like the assassins in the movies. However, this was not what shocked the crowd the most. She can calculate each sniper's hiding position, distance, floor, and specific position while evading the sniper's bullets. Hang Ziliang exclaimed in horror as he stared in that direction. Hearing what Hang Ziliang said, Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and everyone else looked at Yunjian in shock. Was she still human? Chapter 1597. Not to mention Yunjian, who was able to calculate the hiding spot of each sniper while dodging the bullets. Anyone present, even if they were to stand in place and look at a point in the distance, they would be able to accurately report how far away that point was from them. This was something that depended on luck and guessing. Not to mention Yunjian, who was able to easily see the precise distance between the 3 sniper spots in different directions while dodging the bullets of the sniper. Yunjian reported an accurate number. Just from that move, Yunjian's ability had already made everyone present unable to use the word shocked to describe it. She's lying, right? What she said just now. Is it true? What she said just now was the hiding spot of the snipers. Wang Duo could no longer use the word shocked to describe her current feelings. Who was Yunjian? How could she have such terrifying skills, observation, and spatial abilities? Too amazing. She's simply my idol. Hang Ziliang complained loudly. He thought that he was only respected by SS in the hacker world, but Hang Ziliang never thought that he would meet a talent like Yunjian. He originally thought that Yunjian's hacking skills were already the limit, but what Hang Ziliang never thought was that Yunjian could actually dodge the sniper's bullets. More importantly, her ability to see through things was astonishing. Compared to Hang Ziliang, Wang Duo, and the group of young people, Yunjian's ability in the eyes of adults like Sun Baiwen was simply like watching a science fiction movie. Especially the mistress Song Ling, the more powerful Yunjian was, the more scared she was. Because Yunjian was Qin Fangfang's niece. Look, what is she doing? Just as everyone present was stunned, they saw that Yunjian had already quickly played with the pistol and walked towards the best sniper spot. Until Yunjian was completely exposed to the sniper's best shooting range. What is she doing? If the sniper wants to snipe her, he has to consider the direction of the wind, the speed of the wind, the distance, and other areas. If she walks over there, she will directly expose herself to the sniper's range. Hang Ziliang was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat for Yunjian. Among those present, other than Hang Ziliang, be it Sun Baiwen, Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, or Duan Qingxian, none of them understood what Yunjian was doing or what she was trying to do. Hang Ziliang was the only one who knew a little about what Yunjian had done. Therefore, after hearing Hang Ziliang's explanation, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Everyone thought that Yunjian was crazy. Was there something wrong with her brain? He actually exposed himself to the sniper's sniper range. Was she courting death? However, they saw Yunjian's cold smile. She held the black pistol in her hand, but she didn't take out her usual butterfly knife. Instead, she held the pistol in her hand very agilely and walked towards the sniper's sniper range. The butterfly knife was indeed the weapon she was best at. However, today, at this moment, she wanted to tell the group of assassins from Blood Doll one thing. She was good at butterfly knives. She could use them flexibly and freely. As for the pistol, she was still good at it. I know, she must be trying to kill the sniper. Oh my God. She is standing on flat ground and killing the sniper. The longest range of a pistol is 50 meters. Standing on flat ground and using a pistol to kill the sniper, and protecting oneself from being killed by the sniper, this is something unheard of in the entire world. Could it be that she really wants to? Hang Ziliang was panicking, so he shouted those words out in fear. Everyone's hearts tightened when they heard Hang Ziliang's words. When everyone reacted and looked over there, they saw that Yunjian had already moved.
Chapter 1598. A new round of sniping began. The 5 snipers standing in the middle of the 12:00 clock reloaded their guns and fired at Yunjian again. Oh my God! Hang Ziliang and the rest who were standing far away were not shot by the snipers. It was because Yunjian was the sniper's target. A medium-caliber sniper rifle had an effective shooting range of 800 meters. Moreover, the snipers would choose to shoot from a height of tens of meters to focus on their target. Yunjian was at a disadvantage standing far away. Any carelessness and she would lose her life. It was no laughing matter. She's here. She's here. Hang Ziliang could even feel Yunjian's victory. He gripped the corner of his shirt tightly and looked sideways at Yunjian. His instincts told him that Yunjian's ability was enough to shock them. Of course, other than Hang Ziliang who thought so, the rest did not think so. No matter how powerful Yunjian was, she was only a teenage girl. She was no different from an ordinary girl. How powerful could she be? Therefore, the people present could already imagine how miserable Yunjian's ending would be. Go to hell. Let her die. Song Ling dared not imagine what would happen to her if Yunjian survived. Song Ling became Sun Baiwen's mistress. She wanted to replace Qin Fangfang and become the Sun family's official wife one day. Her plan was simple. She wanted Qin Fangfang to get out of the Sun family. She had heard from Sun Baiwen about Yunjian's power. She was the director of new crews. Yunjian's aunt was Qin Fangfang. If Yunjian died in a sniper's hands, Song Ling felt that she would have nothing to fear. However, if Yunjian did not die and she had such terrifying ability, what would Song Ling do if something happened to her? Therefore, Song Ling had an idea. To distract Yunjian, she shouted loudly. She looked like she wanted the snipers to notice Yunjian's hiding spot and kill Yunjian. She's over there. Next to that tree. Kill her. Quick, snipe her. Song Ling thought that her shout was more or less useful for the sniper to locate Yunjian's hiding spot and snipe her to death. When the people around heard Song Ling's shout, their impression of the mistress dropped again. Yunjian was hiding behind a tree. Her eyes darkened when she heard Song Ling's shout. At that moment, the sniper who was far away found Yunjian's hiding spot. He had obviously heard Song Ling's shout and started firing at Yunjian. Without hesitation, Yun Jian rolled away from the tree. The tree was blown to smithereens by the sniper's bullets from afar at the same time. Yun Jian rolled on the ground and the sniper's bullets swept across the ground. That's it. Now's the time. Yun Jian looked up slightly. She held her gun and sensed the exact location of the sniper's attack. She turned her gun and aimed at the sky. In the same direction as the sniper, there were 5 sniper spots not far away. She did not even look up when she fired the shot.
To Yun Jian, she relied on the trajectory of the sniper's strafing bullets to kill the sniper. She raised her hand and fired along the bullet trajectory. Naturally, she could kill the sniper. After 5 shots, Yun Jian turned around and walked back to Hang Ziliang, Sun Baiwen, and the others. Hang Ziliang, Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, and the others could clearly see that the 5 snipers on the tall building did not have time to hide. They were hit in the head by Yun Jian's 5 shots and fell backward. Yun Jian did not even need to use her eyes to confirm that the 5 snipers were dead. She just turned around and walked back. Her style made everyone feel that it was not her first time encountering snipers. It was also not her first time killing snipers with a gun. She was even certain that the 5 snipers would not be able to escape from her 5 shots. At that moment, in everyone's eyes, Yun Jian was like the king of killing. She was like the grim reaper from hell, strolling back here. Song Ling's heart skipped a beat. She was so scared that she shrank behind Sun Baiwen. Her actions just now were obviously to kill Yun Jian. Everyone at the scene could see it. At that moment, not only was Yun Jian not dead, she even killed the sniper. She was not human. She had killed someone. Everyone was terrified, but no one was more terrified than Song Ling. You. What are you trying to do? Sun Baiwen was so frightened that his expression changed. Yun Jian looked at Sun Baiwen and Song Ling coldly but did not make a move. Bang! Qing Yu and Gu Nianji, who had hurried back, brought a tied sniper back and tossed him in front of Yun Jian. Sister Jian, we caught one alive, Qing Yu told Yun Jian. Bang! Without another word, Yun Jian raised her gun and shot the sniper's head. This scene caused Sun Baiwen and Song Ling, who were standing in front of them, to tremble in fear. Hang Ziliang and the others were terrified as well. They've been brainwashed. Useless people are not to be spared, Yun Jian said coldly. Just as she said that, she turned to look at Sun Baiwen and Song Ling. Then, she raised her gun and pointed it at them in front of everyone, continuing in an eerie tone. Chapter 1599. Yun Jian had killed the snipers who were captured alive right in front of the crowd and had even killed the 5 snipers from high up in the sky earlier. In addition, Yun Jian had stabbed her aunt's shameless mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang's thigh without even looking. Everyone present believed that since Yun Jian had pointed her gun at Sun Baiwen and the mistress, Song Ling, she would definitely shoot. It was because she had killed the snipers earlier. Most of the people present were the common people of Pudong City. Apart from visiting relatives and friends at Zhu Hengxiang's house and gathering with relatives like today, they usually lived a simple life. What happened today was completely out of everyone's expectations. When Yun Jian killed the snipers from high up in the sky, the crowd did not feel as horrified as when Yun Jian killed them. However, when Yun Jian killed the snipers that Qing Yu had brought back with a single shot, it felt like she was the boss of a black market, instilling fear in the people around her. Song Ling was scared out of her wits as well. When Yun Jian pointed the gun at her head, Song Ling let go of Sun Baiwen's arm and knelt down in front of Yun Jian. I didn't do it on purpose. I won't do it again. I'll return him to your aunt. Song Ling was scared out of her wits, even kowtowing to Yun Jian in apology. If Yun Jian let Song Ling go today, she would not be Yun Jian anymore, Yun Jian. It was true that Yun Jian would not kill Song Ling based on her aunt, Qin Fangfang. However, Yun Jian hated it when people did things behind her back. Just like how Song Ling had screamed at the snipers from afar that she wanted her dead. If Yun Jian could let Song Ling go today, she would write her name in reverse, Yun Jian. That kind of trashy man is only good enough for a woman like you. My aunt is not on the same level as you. Yun Jian finished speaking and was about to shoot Song Ling in the head. However, before Yun Jian could deliver the shot, Sun Baiwen, who was standing beside Song Ling, suddenly shouted at Yun Jian. His appearance was filled with a sense of recklessness. How dare you? You dare to kill us? If you dare to kill us, you will go to jail yourself. If you don't kill us, we'll keep what happened today a secret. We won't pursue the matter of the snipers you killed and my mother's death. Leave. You can do whatever you want. As long as you don't kill us. Sun Baiwen usually looked like an honest and straightforward person. At this moment, he first wanted to subdue Yun Jian and then use a soft tone to negotiate with Yun Jian. Yun Jian suddenly narrowed her eyes. She had not met someone as interesting as Sun Baiwen in a long time. Therefore, she retracted her pistol and narrowed her eyes at Sun Baiwen with a fierce gaze. Are you threatening me? No, I'm just negotiating with you. It's the best way to deal with you and me. Sun Baiwen thought that he had successfully threatened Yun Jian. Therefore, he wiped the cold sweat off his palms and opened his mouth again. Blood Doll is the #1 assassin organization in Southeast Asia. Now, it's fighting for the entire Southeast Asia. So, do you think that I, who is being hunted down by Blood Doll, have a lower status than them? Just when Sun Baiwen thought that his negotiation was successful, Yun Jian's indifferent voice rang out. Sun Baiwen's heart tightened. Everyone present widened their eyes in horror, especially Wang Duo, Hang Ziliang, and the others. Just when everyone was in shock and horror, Yun Jian's voice rang out again. If I kill you, I also have a way to make you disappear completely from the eyes of the Z people. No one will find out about your deaths. Your deaths will be as if you never existed in this world. So, what right do you have to negotiate with me? What she said sent chills down Sun Baiwen's spine. I have a lot of rules. Anyone who dares to stand behind me and do things behind my back must die today. Just when everyone was unable to react, Yun Jian's eyes suddenly turned ruthless. She raised her hand and fired a shot at the head of the mistress, Song Ling, which shocked everyone present. Chapter 1600. This spear directly pierced through Song Ling's head. In that instant, blood splattered everywhere. Yun Jian's shot was so accurate that it did not hurt any of the innocent people present. However, Song Ling did not even have the chance to react before her head was shot through. Bam! Song Ling's eyes widened. She died with her eyes wide open, but she could no longer stand up after falling to the ground. Be it ancient times or modern times, a mistress had always been an abhorrent existence. Yun Jian's shot went straight for Song Ling's vital spot. The shot meant that Song Ling would never be able to stand up again. Seeing this, everyone present screamed in fright and took a few steps back. Dead. She really killed Song Ling. Sun Baiwen fainted from the shock because Song Ling had died right next to him, just like that. As for most of the people present, almost half of them fainted from the shock. Most of them were women. Except for Sun Baiwen. Yun Jian turned her gun after killing Song Ling and pointed it at Sun Baiwen. She shot Sun Baiwen's lower body where his family jewels were. She did not kill him because her aunt, Qin Fangfang, had not divorced Sun Baiwen. If Sun Baiwen died, Qin Fangfang would only be considered a widow. Even if she divorced, people would say that her husband's family had died in an accident. She was so ungrateful that she did not even take care of her husband's parents and left. Yun Jian did not care about such a reputation, but her aunt, Qin Fangfang, definitely cared. After all, Qin Fangfang was just an ordinary woman. Such rumors would be very disadvantageous to her. Therefore, Yun Jian crippled Sun Baiwen directly but did not kill him. Then, she announced to the public that Sun Baiwen had cheated on her. It was reasonable for Qin Fangfang to divorce Sun Baiwen. At the very least, the rumors and slanders in the outside world would be directed at Sun Baiwen, and the one who would be scolded and criticized would only be Sun Baiwen. Fortunately, Qin Fangfang, Qin Yiru, and Zhang Meihua were upstairs and did not witness this. Yun Jian waved at Qin Yu and Gu Nianji. Qin Yu and Gu Nianji obeyed and walked towards the crowd in unison. "You, what do you want them to do to us?" Seeing this, Hang Ziliang shouted in horror. Just as he finished shouting, Yun Jian continued, "I want you to forget what happened just now." Forget? Could there be something in this world that could make people forget part of their memories? Hang Ziliang's expression changed. Just as Hang Ziliang was feeling puzzled, Gu Nianji walked over and struck Hang Ziliang in the neck. Moments later, Qin Yu went to Yun Jian and nodded at Yun Jian. "Sister Jian, they'd been given amnesia lotion for 3 hours. Okay, you two take care of the scene. I'll take my mother and the others away first." Yun Jian instructed Qin Yu and Gu Nianji before turning to look for Qin Yiru and the rest in the room on the second floor. The 3-hour amnesia lotion was made by Qin Yu. It could make people forget everything that happened in the past 3 hours and there were no side effects after consuming it. The rest was left to Qin Yu and Gu Nianji while Yun Jian led Qin Yiru and the rest out the back door after going up to the second floor. Qin Fangfang was heartbroken, so they did not notice what happened in front of Sun Baiwen's house. After all, he was her husband whom she had spent most of her life with. Not showing weakness in front of outsiders did not mean that Qin Fangfang was not sad at all. Qin Fangfang did not bear any children for the Sun family, so she left casually. After returning to Longmen City, Qin Fangfang went back to Xinjiang town with Zhang Meihua despite her emotional breakdown. Everything that was irrational had to be dealt with after her brain calmed down and everything became rational. "Sai, Xiao Jian, I'll be going back to Xinjiang town to accompany your aunt for the next 2 days. Xiao Zhu and the rest have asked Mrs. Yang to pick them up. Watch them at night." Chapter 1601. After Qin Yiru left, the house quieted down. Ce was now in an Hun group. Xiao Yunzhu and the other 3 were temporarily staying at Mrs. Yang's house, and Gu Junjian naturally had to go on a mission, so after Qin Yiru left, there was really no one at home. However, Yun Jian naturally had somewhere to go. Moreover, she would be going to the hunting school selection field in 2 days. She would be in seclusion for an entire month, so naturally, Yun Jian had a lot of things to do during this month. For example, spread your feet further apart, and do the horse stance properly. Your flexibility isn't enough. Yun Jian crossed her arms in front of her chest, watching Zhang Xiaofeng who was standing in front of her training like crazy. Zhang Xiaofeng's current strength had changed a lot compared to before, but it was still not enough. Zhang Xiaofeng's foundation was not bad, but the foundation was accumulated step by step. Yun Jian had not taught Zhang Xiaofeng anything substantial. Zhang Xiaofeng might be able to defeat a group of weak boys in school, but if he were to fight against an expert who had been practicing taekwondo since young, Zhang Xiaofeng would not be able to do it. This was because what Yun Jian taught Zhang Xiaofeng was only the basics. When Zhang Xiaofeng mastered all the basics that Yun Jian taught him, Yun Jian would then teach Zhang Xiaofeng the killer move. At that time, after Zhang Xiaofeng mastered the basics, Yun Jian would teach him the killer move. This way, Zhang Xiaofeng's strength would make a substantial leap. If Zhang Xiaofeng was a fast learner, he could even elevate his skills to the level of a high-level assassin. Of course, Zhang Xiaofeng's current strength was far from enough, because he had not mastered the basics. "Idiot, haha, I like to see your legs trembling." Chen Sini stood at the side and laughed at Zhang Xiaofeng with her hands on her hips. Chen Sini and Zhang Xiaofeng were cousins. Both of them had been friends with Yun Jian ever since she transferred to Longmen City. Chen Sini and Zhang Xiaofeng bickered every day. Therefore, when she saw Zhang Xiaofeng squatting under Yun Jian's supervision and his legs swinging left and right like springs, Chen Sini couldn't let go of such a good opportunity to mock Zhang Xiaofeng. Her laughter was louder than anyone else's. "Laugh, laugh, laugh, don't cry." Zhang Xiaofeng glared at Chen Sini a little angrily, but both Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini were just bickering. They were not really angry. Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Sini, and Ling Yichen were admitted to the same high school in Longmen City, so Ling Yichen would usually hang out with Chen Sini and Zhang Xiaofeng. However, he did not come today as he had something to do at home and could not leave. Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Sini, and Ling Yichen were all studying in Longmen City No. 1 High School. The three of them were in the same school and usually played together. Yun Jian would look for Zhang Xiaofeng and the other two whenever she came back, mainly to check if Zhang Xiaofeng had been training obediently when she was not around. Master, I feel like I'm getting more energetic now. Zhang Xiaofeng did a squat and gestured a little. Continue. Yun Jian did not praise Zhang Xiaofeng as she spoke with a straight face as usual. This was a huge park in Longmen City. There was no lack of old men training and practicing Tai Chi around the park, but it was unheard of for people of Yun Jian, Zhang Xiaofeng, and Chen Sini's age to train in the park. Just as Zhang Xiaofeng reached a certain level in his squat, a group of young men and women who looked like hooligans sauntered in from outside the park. They went straight to where Yun Jian, Zhang Xiaofeng, and Chen Sini were. One of the boys pushed Zhang Xiaofeng, who was still squatting, away when he came to them and sized Yun Jian up with narrowed eyes provocatively. After a while, the boy even whistled exaggeratedly and teased, "Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 Zhang Xiaofeng, is this the legendary master you've been talking about? You're actually taking a girl as your master. What an embarrassment to men." Chapter 1602. Zhang Xiaofeng's face darkened when he saw the group of teenagers walking in from outside the park. However, Yun Jian had once told him that unless his life was in danger or the sky was falling, he had to wait until he was done with his training before talking to anyone else. Hence, Zhang Xiaofeng kept his silence and continued squatting. You guys are so annoying. There are so many people in class who want to learn from a master, but you guys are so bored during the weekend that you're cramping up. You even came all the way here. Let me tell you, Jinjian's ability isn't something you guys can compare to. Chen Sini retorted with a frown, unable to take the boy's words anymore. The boy's name was Yuan Hongming. He did know Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini. Yuan Hongming was also a student of Longmen City No. 1 High School and was in the same school and class as Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini. Yuan Hongming had a conflict with Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini in school before. When school had just started, Yuan Hongming had started wooing Chen Sini madly when he saw how pretty Chen Sini was. However, he was stopped by Zhang Xiaofeng before he could even begin. Yuan Hongming and Zhang Xiaofeng's feud was thus born. Later, he heard from his classmates that Zhang Xiaofeng was learning from a girl and often went to the nearby park to train. That was why Yuan Hongming had brought his brothers and sisters from school today to surround Zhang Xiaofeng's master. They wanted to see what kind of person Zhang Xiaofeng's master was. A woman could be a master? Pfft. He, Yuan Hongming, was eager to see what was going on. A woman was actually Zhang Xiaofeng's master? Was this not the biggest joke in the world? Pfft, listen, he said this girl is good. He even said that we can't beat her. Haha. Yuan Hongming was considered tall and had an average appearance. However, as soon as Chen Sini finished speaking, a skinny and average-looking boy standing at the side, who was only about 1.59 meters tall, glanced at Yun Jian with shifty eyes and mocked. This boy was obviously Yuan Hongming's lackey. He was ugly and his words were not pleasant to hear. Zhang Xiaofeng, why are you not saying anything? Are you scared? If you have the guts, why don't you ask your master to fight with us in the arena? Let's see who's stronger. Yuan Hongming still remembered how Zhang Xiaofeng had stopped him from pursuing Chen Sini when school had just started. Seeing that Zhang Xiaofeng was squatting and ignoring him, Yuan Hongming felt a little angry. Although Yuan Hongming had found a new girlfriend now, he really liked Chen Sini at that time, so he was very disgusted with Zhang Xiaofeng, who hindered him from pursuing Chen Sini. Continue. Yun Jian ignored the chirping sparrows around her and spat out 2 words to Zhang Xiaofeng. Yuan Hongming was the typical kind of boy in school who would find a girl to date in order to have an ambiguous relationship with a girl. To put it bluntly, for Yuan Hongming, he would die if he didn't date a girl for a day. Moreover, people like Yuan Hongming were very prideful. So when he was blatantly ignored by a girl, even if this girl, Yun Jian, was good-looking, Yuan Hongming would feel disgusted. Ha! You are Zhang Xiaofeng's master, right? I heard that you are quite strong. How about it, do you want to have a spar? I am a master of Taekwondo, Sanda, and Wushu since I was young. Don't blame me if I make you cry. Yun Jian had not agreed to fight with Yuan Hongming, but Yuan Hongming had already made his decision. However, Yun Jian did not have the intention to pay attention to Yuan Hongming from beginning to end, which made Yuan Hongming's group a little anxious. However, as a man who did not lose his temper with a girl, especially Yun Jian's outstanding looks, Yuan Hongming's group did not have the intention to force her. Seeing that Yun Jian did not pay attention to them, they followed the usual style of boys and began to show off in front of Yun Jian some things that they thought Yun Jian did not know. Hey, do you guys know about that internationally famous hunting school? A short boy who was only 1.59 meters tall and did not look very good said mysteriously. I know. That is the place that all the special forces in the world yearn for. I heard that the mortality rate is very high. But after graduating, the people who come out are the top talents in the world. Immediately, another boy added. Hearing this, the girls beside Yuan Hongming's group all exclaimed, wow, and oh. With this, the short boy became even more excited. When he spoke, he even glanced at Yun Jian arrogantly, almost to the point of flying to the sky. My uncle is a special forces soldier. In 2 days, that hunting school, our country Z's selection will begin. I heard that only 3 people can be shortlisted, and there are 100 people participating. My uncle is also one of the 100 people. Chapter 1603. This skinny boy, who was only 1.59 meters tall and looked like a foreigner, was called Wang Qingjiang. At this moment, Wang Qingjiang's face was filled with a smug expression, as if he was extremely powerful. In fact, there were only 3 special forces members who could enter the hunting school in Country Z. The selection field was just a selection held by Country Z to select 3 members who would represent their country to go to the hunting school. Of course, the special forces members who could be sent to the selection field were the top talents in Country Z. Although Wang Qingjiang's cockiness made everyone present unhappy, it was very popular with this group of girls. Most of the girls didn't know much about the market, but these guys tried their best to understand all kinds of markets just to show off in front of the girls. As it turned out, Wang Qingjiang's bragging made the girls' jaws drop in shock. Wang Qingjiang turned his head to look at Yun Jian proudly, but saw that Yun Jian didn't show any signs of surprise. He couldn't help but be surprised. Shouldn't she be surprised that his uncle could go to such a harsh place like the selection field? Why didn't this girl have any reaction at all? Qingjiang, you're hiding it so well. Yuan Hongming, who was beside him, put his arm around the short Wang Qingjiang's shoulder and said to him with a smile. After hearing Yuan Hongming's words, the vanity that Wang Qingjiang didn't find in Yun Jian earlier was overflowing. Of course. My uncle is nearby. He went to buy water and will come here later. If you need, you can ask my uncle for an autograph or something. After all, there are only a few special forces members who can participate in the selection field in Country Z. As Wang Qingjiang spoke, he glanced at Yun Jian and hinted, my uncle only gives autographs to my friends. If it's someone who doesn't get along with me, I won't give it to her unless she kisses me. As Wang Qingjiang spoke, he turned his head and glanced at Yun Jian a few more times. The way he said it, it was as if getting his uncle's autograph was the best luck of a few lifetimes. The boy next to him immediately understood what Wang Qingjiang meant by that. A guy even laughed and teased Wang Qingjiang, Qingjiang, you're short, but you're good at picking up girls. Zhang Xiaofeng, who was beside them, was still squatting in the horse stance. He was not disturbed by this group of people at all. Yun Jian also did not make a sound. Chen Sini clenched her fists in anger, but in the end, she ignored them. Just when Wang Qingjiang felt bored, he suddenly shouted excitedly to a tall figure at the entrance of the park, Uncle. I'm here. Just a moment ago, he thought that it was pointless for him to show off, but in the end, his uncle came. Wang Qingjiang immediately felt energized. Wang Qingjiang's youngest uncle was completely different from Wang Qingjiang. Wang Qingjiang's youngest uncle was quite handsome. He was about 1.75 meters tall. Looking from a distance, his valiant appearance was very similar to that of a special soldier. Wang Qingjiang's uncle had just walked over when Wang Qingjiang could not help glancing at Yun Jian and continued to boast to the group. He said to the crowd, "This is my youngest uncle. My youngest uncle is going to the selection field. With his strength, I believe that he can definitely get into the top 3 and then represent our country to participate in this year's hunting school. You guys, if you're smart, you should ask for his autograph or something." Speaking of this, Wang Qingjiang paused again. He turned his short body slightly and looked at Yun Jian with a provocative gaze. Just when he was about to use words to flirt with Yun Jian a few more times. However, he saw his youngest uncle looking at Yun Jian. After seeing Yun Jian's appearance clearly, Wang Qingjiang's youngest uncle looked at Yun Jian excitedly in front of everyone and said, You're the girl from Min City's military school. Last time, in the headquarters of Glen, the boss of the underground black market in Europe and America, it was you who led people to break out of the encirclement in the dungeon where no one had ever escaped before and led people to launch a surprise attack. Chapter 1604. Wang Qingjiang's uncle's name was Wang Dong. He was quite good-looking and was about 1.75 meters tall. He was a special forces soldier under Gu Junjian. Last time, Yun Jian had seized a helicopter and drove it to the headquarters of the European and American underground black market boss, Gu Luan, to rescue Gu Junjian. Wang Dong was one of the special forces soldiers with Yun Jian. Therefore, even though that incident had been suppressed and the people from the Min City Military Academy and the special forces did not know the truth, Wang Dong still knew what had happened back then. Back then, it was Yun Jian who had rescued Gu Junjian and the others from the dungeon. Wang Dong still could not forget how Yun Jian had rescued Gu Junjian and the others from the dungeon. In the dungeon, facing so many guards armed with machine guns, she had killed them all without batting an eyelid. She had easily rescued everyone from the dungeon. She had become the only legendary person who had led people out of the dungeon where no one had been able to escape. "Uncle, what are you talking about?" After hearing what his uncle Wang Dong had said, Wang Qingjiang was stunned for a moment and did not react for a long time. The dungeon built by the boss of the European and American underground black market. That is the dungeon where no one has been able to break out of the dungeon. Didn't they say that someone had successfully escaped a while ago? How could it be her? She's just a high school student who had just entered school. Yuan Hongming was also shocked by Wang Qingjiang's uncle Wang Dong. What Wang Dong said was simply too inconceivable. It was said that the boss of the European and American underground black market, Gu Luan, was arrested because of the first person who had successfully escaped from the dungeon. Yun Jian was just an ordinary high school student. How could she be the legendary person? Moreover, this incident had not been reported. "I've always wanted to get to know you. Not only are you powerful, but you're also Officer Ji's daughter. I didn't expect you to be my nephew's friend." Wang Dong didn't realize that his nephew Wang Qingjiang and the others were hostile towards Yun Jian. He looked at Yun Jian with admiration. The daughter of a military officer with astonishing strength? These words flooded into the hearts of Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and everyone present, causing everyone present to widen their eyes. Yun Jian, she was the daughter of a military officer? Moreover, he was praised by Wang Qingjiang, a powerful special forces soldier. His strength was astonishing. Wasn't this too inconceivable? Putting aside the fact that Wang Qingjiang's uncle, Wang Dong, had just said that Yun Jian was the first person in history to successfully escape from the dungeon, just the words that followed were enough to make everyone present go crazy. Yun Jian blinked. She didn't say much, but she also tacitly agreed to this fact. "Uncle. She's really that powerful." Wang Qingjiang pointed at Yun Jian. He blinked fiercely and then looked at Wang Dong in disbelief. Yuan Hongming's face was also as dark as if he had eaten dog poop. At the beginning, Yuan Hongming and Wang Qingjiang looked down on Yun Jian, Zhang Xiaofeng, and Chen Sini. Now, their faces were as dark as it could be. However, before Wang Qingjiang and Yuan Hongming's faces became darker, Wang Dong's voice sounded again. How can it be fake? Didn't you say that you wanted to know my opponents in the hunting school selection? She's one of them. Chapter 1605. Wang Qingjiang was pleased and proud that his uncle was one of the top 100 Special Forces soldiers from country Z who could participate in the hunting school selection. Therefore, Wang Qingjiang used this to be extremely arrogant at the beginning. But what did his uncle say to him? His uncle said that Yun Jian was one of the top 100 Special Forces soldiers from country Z who could participate in the hunting school selection. And with Yun Jian's ability, it was guaranteed that she would be one of the top 3 candidates to go to the hunting school. Yun Jian was also a Special Forces soldier. Then what level was Yun Jian's ability at? Initially, Wang Qingjiang was proud that his uncle was able to join the hunting school and the Special Forces in country Z. However, after what Wang Qingjiang's uncle, Wang Dong, said to Yun Jian, the only thing Wang Qingjiang could boast about was destroyed. Yun Jian was that kind of person. And Wang Qingjiang just said that if he wanted his uncle Wang Dong's autograph, he would only give it to those who didn't get along with him if they kissed him. It was obvious that Wang Qingjiang was trying to woo Yun Jian when he said that just now, but now, what he said was as foolish as it could get. Wang Qingjiang felt his face hurt. Phew. Master, I'm done with the horse stance in half an hour. Zhang Xiaofeng didn't say a word from the beginning. Even when his classmates, Yuan Hongming, and the others appeared, Zhang Xiaofeng didn't say a word. Zhang Xiaofeng only spoke after he finished the horse stance. Continue after 10 minutes of rest, Yun Jian ignored Yuan Hongming, Wang Qingjiang, and the others and only nodded at Wang Dong. She would give some face to Gu Yunjian's people. Oh yeah, when do you plan to go to the training ground? Wang Dong glanced at Yun Jian and asked. 5 days later, Yun Jian replied briefly. In front of Wang Qingjiang and the others, Wang Dong immediately smiled at Yun Jian and continued to ask, You're determined to get a spot in the hunting school, aren't you? The hunting school. Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and the rest knew about the quota for the hunting school. There were a total of 100 people in the selection field this time, but only 3 could represent Z country. And what kind of place was the hunting school? You have to sign a life or death waiver when you enter the school. If he wanted to enter the hunting school, he had to sign a life and death agreement. That meant that if he died in the hunting school, it would have nothing to do with the hunting school. Moreover, the mortality rate of the hunting school was as high as 80%. After he graduated from the hunting school, his strength would also rise to a whole new level. These were things that Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and the others could only tell him, but they didn't dare to imagine it themselves. Under everyone's gaze, Yun Jian nodded. Her bright and beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of determination. Then, in front of everyone, she said to Wang Dong, Yes, I'm determined to get a spot in the hunting school. Hearing this, Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and the rest were even more shocked. People will die in that place. Wang Qingjiang looked at Yun Jian's beautiful face and kindly reminded her. Who wasn't afraid of death? Wasn't she? Yuan Hongming, as well as all the boys and girls with Wang Qingjiang and the rest, looked at Yun Jian in disbelief. That's right, people will die in the hunting school. Wasn't she afraid? Just when Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and the rest looked at Yun Jian suddenly licked her red lips. She broke into a cold smile. Chapter 1606. When Yun Jian said this, her tone was extremely arrogant. If she, Yun Jian, could not survive the hunting school, then she was not worthy of being a Special Forces soldier. It was not as if ordinary people did not know how terrifying the hunting school was. It was a hunting school. A school with a mortality rate as high as 80%. Even if you are a special forces soldier who can participate in the hunting school selection, what gives you the confidence to say that you can survive in a place like the hunting school? There are so many outstanding special forces soldiers in the world, who do you think you are? I think it's a serious problem for you to even get a place to go to the hunting school in Country Z. A girl next to her heard what Yun Jian said and could no longer bear to see Yun Jian in the limelight, so she argued loudly. This girl who spoke up for Yun Jian was with Wang Qingjiang. Girls usually like to be in the limelight. The girl was 169 meters tall. Among the girls, she was considered a tall and slender beauty. Usually, when she was with Wang Qingjiang and Yuan Hongming, this girl was always in the limelight. However, just now, Yun Jian was in the limelight, so the girl could no longer hold it in and wanted to refute Yun Jian. The girl's name was Lin Susu. Her looks were quite average, but her face was covered with rouge and makeup. Although she did not look good, she felt that it was very good. If she can't get a place, there will be no special forces soldier who can represent Country Z in the hunting school. Hearing Lin Susu's words, Wang Dong, who was standing next to her, was very unhappy. Wang Dong refuted Lin Susu almost immediately. To Wang Dong, Yun Jian was the symbol of strength. Lin Susu pursed her lips after being refuted by Wang Dong. However, Lin Susu was not happy at all. I know, didn't you say that she is the daughter of an officer? You are obviously trying to please her by saying that. As a special forces soldier, you are really embarrassing. Lin Susu was rendered speechless by Wang Dong's retort. She clenched her fists, suddenly recalling how Wang Dong had addressed Yun Jian as Officer Ji's daughter. Since she was the daughter of an officer, then Wang Dong was a subordinate. It was not impossible for Wang Dong to please Yun Jian. Moreover, the possibility of Wang Dong wanting to please Yun Jian was very high. Even Lin Susu herself felt that she was very smart to be able to think of this. *T. My uncle wouldn't say that. Although Wang Qingjiang had doubted Yun Jian in the beginning, he was proud of his uncle. Therefore, although Wang Qingjiang was on Lin Susu's side, he would immediately refute Lin Susu when necessary. I don't believe you. Officials always protect each other. She is the daughter of an officer and has a reliable father, so. Lin Susu was about to say something when she heard Lin Susu's words. Yun Jian's eyes shone as she caught sight of a slender figure outside the park. It was Qin Yu. Qin Yu was strolling over. The moment she saw Yun Jian, she nodded at Yun Jian and greeted, Sister Jian. Sister Jian? Sister? Other than Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini, everyone else was taken aback. Lin Susu, in particular, stood out more than anyone else. Amidst everyone's shock, Yun Jian gestured at Qin Yu and the latter told Yun Jian in front of everyone, Sister Jian, it's as expected. Sister Jian, it's just as you expected. The dozen snipers that Blood Doll sent to kill you last time were just to test your skills. Just as Qin Yu finished, she was drowned out by Wang Dong's soul-stirring voice. Wang Dong widened his eyes in shock and exclaimed at Yun Jian and Qin Yu in front of everyone. Chapter 1607. Once Wang Dong said that, everyone around them was dumbfounded. Yun Jian was killed by a sniper? How did she manage to survive? She was still standing here alive. What did this mean? It meant that she was strong enough to avoid the sniper's attack. If one were to ask, a sniper would usually kill someone without making a sound. Before a sniper killed a target, it was impossible for them to tell their target that they were coming to kill them, so run quickly, right? When a sniper killed someone, they aimed directly at them and ran away after a headshot when the person appeared. If Yun Jian was killed by a sniper and still managed to realize that the sniper was shooting her, it could only mean one thing. That was her vigilance and insight, which were extremely powerful and exquisite. Therefore, Qin Yu's words were a direct reflection of this. That was how strong Yun Jian's ability was. Lin Susu's expression changed as if she had just eaten dog poop before everyone's eyes. Qin Yu's words were a clear indication of how strong Yun Jian was. Wang Dong was only surprised for a moment before he stopped showing an exaggerated expression. After all, when Yun Jian escaped from the dungeon back then, there were so many people with machine guns aimed at her. Yun Jian had killed the guards with machine guns in such a dangerous place and led them out of the dungeon. Snipers were scary because they could snipe you from a high vantage point when you couldn't even detect them. Yun Jian's ability, however, could definitely take them on. Blood doll's sniper isn't enough to threaten my sister Jian. Qing Yu scoffed and said. Qing Yu looked sweet, but when she spoke, there was an eerie chill in her voice. It rendered Lin Susu, who despised Yun Jian's ability just now, speechless. I didn't expect you to be so good. Wang Qingjiang decided to take back his previous words and hit on Yun Jian officially. Hence, Wang Qingjiang spoke to Yun Jian. Yun Jian ignored him. Ahem. I underestimated you before. Let's be friends officially. You see, you're also a Special Forces soldier. My uncle is also a Special Forces soldier. You two can take care of each other when you go to the hunting school's training ground. Wang Qingjiang began to use the most old-fashioned and vulgar way to strike up a conversation with Yun Jian. Yun Jian still didn't reply. At the same time, Yun Jian turned around and was about to leave the park. She even said to Zhang Xiaofeng, practice by yourself. I'll check your progress next time. At this point, Yun Jian was already planning to walk out of the park. Only then did Wang Dong scratch his head, somewhat at a loss. Listening to his nephew's words, the meaning behind his words wasn't Yun Jian friends with his nephew, Wang Qingjiang? Just as Wang Dong was feeling puzzled, Yun Jian had already asked Qing Yu to leave the park with her. This time, Wang Qingjiang was anxious. Wang Qingjiang might be short, about 5 to 6 centimeters shorter than Yun Jian, and he wasn't good-looking, but deep down, Wang Qingjiang wanted to find a girl who was more outstanding and better than him. To put it bluntly, Wang Qingjiang just wanted to be a gigolo who only knew how to eat white rice. It was a pity that his looks were nothing like a gigolo. Hey, don't go. Let's be friends. Let's get along. Wang Qingjiang obviously wanted to flirt with Yun Jian. In his panic, he ran up to grab Yun Jian's hand with his short and ugly hand. However, before his hand could reach Yun Jian's delicate wrist, it was grabbed by a slender and well-defined hand. The slender and well-defined hand grabbed Wang Qingjiang's hand. His tall body looked down on Wang Qingjiang's 1.59 meters height, and he flung Wang Qingjiang away in the next second. As he flung Wang Qingjiang away, he lifted his leg and sent Wang Qingjiang flying a few meters away with his long thigh. Chapter 1608. Wang Qingjiang was sent flying several meters by Siyi's kick. He hurriedly covered his heart, which was about to jump out of his chest, and looked at Siyi with pain and malevolence. Your woman? She's your woman? She didn't even show it on her face. What right do you have to say that she's your woman? Wang Qingjiang was indignant. He growled at Siyi as he stood up and walked over to Yun Jian. He met eyes with Siyi, who was standing in front of Yun Jian. Siyi was 1.85 meters tall, while Wang Qingjiang was 1.59 meters tall. The height difference between the two of them was even bigger than the height difference between Yun Jian and Siyi. Yun Jian was 1.65 meters tall, which was 6 centimeters taller than Wang Qingjiang. Wang Qingjiang looked directly at Siyi, but he couldn't even see Siyi's chin. As a boy, he was standing in front of Siyi, and he even tried to force himself to look into Siyi's eyes. This was simply too hilarious. Wang Qingjiang naturally realized that Siyi was taller and more handsome than him. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and tiptoed slightly. Seeing that he couldn't gain any advantage in front of Siyi, he turned his head to look at Yun Jian. After glancing at Yun Jian, Wang Qingjiang turned his head to look into Siyi's eyes again. Then he said to Siyi in a serious tone, "Teacher said that we can't discriminate against people. The teacher said that I can't discriminate against anyone. Although I'm not tall enough and I'm not particularly good looking, I won't be as unreasonable as you." I'm extremely possessive. People have the right to choose too. Looks and height can't make a living. At least she won't despise me like you do. If you don't believe me, you can ask her if she despises me. Will she choose me? I don't think she'll despise me. She'll definitely choose me. Wang Qingjiang grasped each and every word very well. If Yun Jian did not choose him, then it would mean that Yun Jian despised him for being short and ugly. Others would think that Yun Jian was a snobbish person. Wang Qingjiang didn't know about the relationship between Ce and Yun Jian. He thought that Ce and Yun Jian's relationship was just a pair of young men and women who were in love. To put it bluntly, in the eyes of Wang Qingjiang, Yuan Hongming, and the others, this kind of relationship was just a game, and they could snatch it away at any time. However, anyone who knew about Ce and Yun Jian's relationship would think otherwise. Good job, Qingjiang. Looks like you've made up your mind to flirt with this girl. A boy beside him started to jeer again. His tone was full of bragging. Wang Qingjiang was really excited when he heard that. He stood on his tiptoes even harder, trying to be eye level with Ce, but he could barely reach Ce's shoulder. Wang Qingjiang thought that he was very smart. After what he said, Yun Jian would definitely choose him because she wanted to explain to the public that she was not looking down on him. Even if she did not choose him, she would not reject him too directly. After all, which girl would not want to embarrass herself in public? Just as Wang Qingjiang was waiting for Yun Jian's reply, Yun Jian's voice came out of nowhere, shocking Wang Qingjiang and the rest. Stupid and ignorant brat. After saying that, Yun Jian turned to call Qing Yu over and grabbed Ce's hand to leave the park with Ce. Zhang Xiaofeng and Chen Sini who were behind them were not in a hurry to leave. Zhang Xiaofeng still had to train by himself for a while. Although Chen Sini bickered with Zhang Xiaofeng every day, she would still stay with him until Zhang Xiaofeng was done with his training. Wait, what do you mean by this? Are you really going to choose him because of my looks? Wang Qingjiang could not take it anymore when he saw that Yun Jian was about to leave. He quickly shouted at Yun Jian. Yun Jian's eyes flickered when she heard Wang Qingjiang's straightforward words. Her lips curled into a red arc as she turned around with a smirk. Wang Qingjiang thought that Yun Jian was going to change her mind when he saw that. Chapter 1609. He had a lot of stamina. A lot of stamina? Was she referring to him? Cough cough. Ce, who wanted to stand up for Yun Jian, coughed lightly. His large palm held Yun Jian's hand firmly as he stood beside Yun Jian with his head lowered, looking at her exquisite side profile, thinking that she was telling him that he had a lot of stamina. Ce thought, he should really work harder. His Xiao Jian had praised him so much. If he did not work hard and blossom, how was he going to bear fruit? He wanted her to give birth to a bunch of children for him. Hearing what she said, Ce lowered his head slightly with a smirk. He wanted Xiao Jian to give birth to a football team for him. It was not enough. Were the two of them enough? It was better to live and grow old together. No. His Xiao Jian would give birth to something bad. If his Xiao Jian fell sick from giving birth, he probably would not be able to rest easy for the rest of his life. You guys? Both of you? Everything else aside, Wang Qingjiang was really getting the wrong idea. Yun Jian and Ce? Yun Jian and Ce. Both of them were already, most importantly, what Yun Jian said just now was an obvious and deliberate contrast to what she had said. Did that mean that Yun Jian said that he definitely could not do it? What about the opposite? Men usually hated being told that they could not do it, so Wang Qingjiang nearly spat blood when he heard what Yun Jian said. Most importantly, Yun Jian had said what she said just now in front of so many people without blushing or skipping a beat. You guys, Wang Qingjiang pointed at Yun Jian and Ce, his hand trembling as if he was bent over by a spring. The trembling was astounding. Xiao Jian loves that I have a lot of stamina. Ce continued Yun Jian shamelessly, ignoring Wang Qingjiang, who was trembling in exasperation as he wrapped his arm around Yunjian's slender waist and lowered his head slightly. His height and figure that matched Yunjian was enough to dazzle the eyes of everyone present. Then, he leaned close to Yunjian's ear and moaned softly. Siyi's action drove everyone even more crazy, especially Wang Qingjiang. A perfect match, wasn't it referring to Yunjian and Siyi? Compared to this, Wang Qingjiang's previous actions were truly foolish to the extreme. Wang Qingjiang was irritated by Yunjian and Siyi's banter. That was not all. Siyi added, "Xiao Jian, let's go back to our home." The main point of Siyi's home for both was too obvious and intentional. In spite of it, Wang Qingjiang was truly shocked by Siyi's words. "You guys are living together?" Everyone present was shocked, but no one was as shocked as Wang Qingjiang. Yunjian and Siyi were living together? Why can't we live together when our parents have already approved of it? Siyi was truly addicted to bragging as he looked straight at Yunjian with a handsome smile. I heard from Officer Ge that he has a son-in-law he's set on. He said that once his daughter reaches legal age, he'll register at the Civil Affairs Bureau immediately. He even said that his son-in-law and his daughter have already gotten country ours marriage certificate. Don't tell me that the son-in-law Officer Ge mentioned is you, young man. Wang Qingjiang was about to pass out from anger, but it was not enough. His uncle, Wang Dong, personally dealt him a critical blow. You guys even have a country our marriage certificate? You guys are married? Wang Qingjiang glared at Yunjian and Siyi like he was about to vomit blood. He had not noticed it earlier, but he suddenly noticed that both Yunjian and Siyi were wearing wedding rings. At first, Wang Qingjiang thought that girls liked to wear such things, so he did not pay much attention. Now, however, these were probably Yunjian and Siyi's wedding rings. Chapter 16:10. When she saw the marriage certificate, Yunjian wanted to facepalm again. He really couldn't bear to not keep this marriage certificate in his trouser pocket at all times, not even for a second. Who in the world could bear to leave their marriage certificate at home at all times, not even for a second? Besides Siyi, there was probably no one else in the world who could do this, right? Siyi's actions also shocked Wang Dong. This young man actually hid his marriage certificate in his pocket? Moreover, he even took it out to show off and then hid it back in his trouser pocket like a treasure. Wang Dong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. To be honest, other than Siyi, no one else in the world could do what Siyi did. Of course, this also made everyone present feel a little bit, a very strong little bit. That was how much Siyi treasured Yunjian. He even hid his marriage certificate with Yunjian like a treasure. Not to mention how much he doted on Yunjian. Furthermore, Siyi was so handsome. Not only was Siyi handsome, but he also doted on Yunjian to a whole new level. He was the object of envy of all the girls present. However, in the eyes of such a person, there was only Yunjian's figure. His eyes were filled with her. Haha. You two are really loving. Even Wang Dong couldn't help but praise them. Wang Dong was Wang Qingjiang's uncle, but his character was completely different from Wang Qingjiang's. Wang Dong was 1.75 meters tall, and good-looking. Coupled with his current achievements, he was only in his 30s, so he could be considered a young and accomplished person. When he saw how loving Yunjian and Siyi were, Wang Dong couldn't help but praise them. It was only when he was done with his compliments that Wang Dong told Siyi, "Young man, you have a bright future by doting on your woman. I have to learn from you too. When I have a girlfriend in the future, I have to dote on her too. I'll treat her as my sweetheart." Siyi didn't react much to Wang Dong's words. To Siyi, be it in front of others or behind others, Xiao Jian was the apple of his eye. She's my life. Siyi returned the words to Wang Dong. She was his life, and he would use his own life to protect hers. No matter if it was him as a divine lord or the current him. It was just like how he had given up on his godhead in her previous life, risking his soul being destroyed and almost falling, without any hesitation to save her, whose soul should have been destroyed. He had said that even if he were to die, he would die in her place. Even if her soul was scattered, he would be the one to bear it for her. After returning home from the park, Yun Jian and Ce parted ways with Qin Yu. Qin Yu skipped back to her place and went home to change before going on a date with Yun Yi. In the empty suite where the north wind howled, the pitiful single Gu Nianji hugged her pillow as she watched Qin Yu skip into the room to change into pretty clothes and go on a date with Yun Yi. When Yun Jian and Ce got home, they went to Mrs. Yang's house to look for Xiao Yunju and the others. Qin Yiru had gone back to the countryside to accompany Qin Fangfang, so she was not at home. Yun Jian and Ce went to Mrs. Yang's house to check on Xiao Yunju and the others. Seeing that they were happy at Mrs. Yang's place, Yun Jian went home with Ce without worry. Just as they reached home, Yun Jian received a piece of news. Xiao Yunju's biological mother in this life would be recovering and returning in 2 months. Xiao Yunju's biological mother in this life was a woman with a hard life. It was not easy for her to raise Xiao Yunju's physical body. Xiao Yunju's biological mother was stabbed and almost died the last time. Yun Jian sent her abroad for emergency treatment and saved her life. After recuperating for so long, she would be back soon. Would she take Xiao Yunju with her? What are you looking at? There were only Yun Jian and Ce at home. Ce saw Yun Jian looking down at a message on her phone, studying something. He hugged Yun Jian from behind. Yun Jian turned off her phone and shook her head lightly. Nothing. Just as Yun Jian turned off her phone, Ce looked at her lips that were as red as strawberries. He could not help but take out his belt to tie up Yun Jian's hands and raise them above her head. Chapter 1611. Yun Jian was still mulling over the fact that Xiao Zhu's mother was back. When she came back to her senses, Ce had already lifted her hands and tied them up with his belt. What are you doing? Yun Jian blushed instantly, knowing what he was about to do to her. Her cheeks were as red as a monkey's butt. Doing you. Ce was very close to Yun Jian now, his breath almost spreading from the top of Yun Jian's body. Yun Jian was even more embarrassed now. Yun Jian's cheeks were as red as an apple. Didn't you say that I'm energetic just now? Xiao Jian, don't you want to try? Ce asked as he reached inside Yun Jian's clothes and grabbed a certain tender and plump part of Yun Jian's body, getting close and pinching it. Yun Jian's rosy cheeks made Ce like her even more. After holding it in for so long, he really could not hold it in this time. Xiao Jian, don't be nervous. Leave yourself to me. I'll be gentle if anything happens, Ce said softly as he nibbled on Yun Jian's soft earlobe. Yun Jian's cheeks were as red as blood. Don't talk, stick close to me. Ce had already taken off Yun Jian's top. Just as Ce was about to go deeper, however, the phone in Yun Jian's pants pocket buzzed. Seeing this, Yun Jian's jubilation and exhilaration was washed away like a splash of water, turning into a puddle of water in an instant. Ce's arousal was quenched as well. F***ck. Ce punched the wall and cursed for the first time in his life. It was his first time being so furious and also his first time expressing his emotions so irrationally. In spite of it, only his Xiao Jian could see his emotions. Yun Jian still took out her phone from her pocket. The moment she did so, her cheeks flushed and she tiptoed to kiss Ce on the lips. With the kiss, Ce's restlessness just now vanished. He grabbed Yun Jian's hand at once, his dark and gloomy demeanor just now vanishing completely. It was only then that Yun Jian answered the call. Yu Xiaoluo's anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. Yun Jian, where are you now? The hunting school selection has been pushed forward again. I'm almost at your house now. Pack your essentials quickly and go to the gate. Go there now. Yu Xiaoluo's voice sounded urgent. Yun Jian's eyes flickered and she nodded at Yu Xiaoluo under Ce's gaze. Even after he hung up, Ce's expression was still dark. Seeing that, Yun Jian tiptoed and kissed Ce on the lips with pursed lips, mimicking how Ce kissed her in the past. She kissed him back for a while before letting go. Yun Jian looked at the ground and said shyly, "In the future, continue, in the future?" This meant that Yun Jian had given her silent consent and was certain that he could do these shameful things to her. Ce hugged her and whispered in her ear, "Xiao Jian, I'm definitely going to eat you up next time." He really wanted to tear Yu Xiaoluo apart. Why did he have to call now of all times? In spite of it, Ce suppressed the thought for Yun Jian when he remembered that his wife still needed Yu Xiaoluo. Buried in Ce's arms, Yun Jian blushed as she felt his tenderness. 15 minutes later, Yun Jian tidied herself up and carried a simple bag before walking to the road from the house. Yu Xiaoluo drove the car over and honked at where Yun Jian was standing. "Yun Jian, over here. Come over quick." Yun Jian glanced at the military jeep that Yu Xiaoluo was driving and saw 4 men and women in their 20s and 30s sitting in it. They were probably special forces soldiers heading to the selection field. Chapter 16:12. Fasten your seatbelts, we're leaving. Yu Xiaoluo smiled when he saw Yun Jian hopping into the car. He then stepped on the accelerator and the jeep sped off. Yu Xiaoluo's military jeep was similar to Gu Yunjian's and could accommodate quite a number of people at once. There were 3 rows of seats in the military jeep. Other than Yu Xiaoluo himself, there were 4 other men and women. They were probably going to participate in the hunting academy selection like Yun Jian. In comparison, Yun Jian was surprisingly young. At that moment, the woman sitting beside Yu Xiaoluo in the passenger seat turned to look at Yun Jian and whistled. "Little girl, you're Team Monarch/God, right? I've heard of your name, but I can't tell what you're capable of just by looking at you." The woman had short hair and from the back, she looked like a tomboy. Not only did she lack the feminine charm of a woman, but she also had the domineering aura of a man. "Right, I'm Su Mei. It's a very old-fashioned name. My nickname is Moldy, but I prefer that nickname. Don't laugh. Also, you can call me Sister Moldy." Su Mei introduced herself to Yun Jian humorously. "Haha. Moldy, don't scare the little girl. Little girls can't take scares. Little girl, if you're bullied by Moldy, I'll cover you." "Ah." A handsome man who looked like a soldier patted Yun Jian's shoulder and said. This man who looked like a soldier was called Su Wenming. Whether it was Su Mei or Su Wenming, what they said was purely a joke. When everyone gathered together, their favorite thing to do was to joke and fool around. After all, it was true that working in the military was sometimes boring. However, when everyone gathered together, there was mutual trust between teammates. That was the most intimate and warm feeling they had. Other than Su Mei and Su Wenming, the other 2 were men. The oldest among them was Wang Buren, who was already 39 years old. The other one was the same as Su Mei and Su Wenming. He was also in his 20s, and his name was Dong Xiu. Su Mei, Su Wenming, Wang Buren, and Dong Xiu were recommended by Principal Ma of the Min City Military Academy by Yu Xiaoluo to participate in this hunting school. Including Yun Jian, Principal Ma recommended a total of 5 people to participate in the hunting school selection in Country Z. Of course, other than Principal Ma, who could nominate talents, other officers from all over the country who were at the same level as Principal Ma, or even higher than him, could nominate talents to participate in the Z Country hunting school selection. The reason why the selection was held in Z Country was because the mortality rate of the hunting school was too high. Before sending the special forces to the hunting school, they had to select the best talents, right? If he felt that a person was not bad and directly sent him to the hunting school, he would easily die in the hunting school if he was not strong enough. This also greatly increased the mortality rate. Hence, Z Country selection was held. Only the top 3 would be qualified to represent Z Country and be sent to the hunting school. The 5 people recommended by Principal Ma, including Yun Jian, could be considered enemies with the other officers' recommendations. If Yun Jian was selected as one of the 3 members to represent Z Country in the hunting school, Principal Ma's reputation would be greatly enhanced. Hence, as soon as Yun Jian arrived at the entrance of the selection, she was the center of attention from the members recommended by different officers. Team Monarch/God was famous, but only in Zhe province. Other than Zhe province, even if people had heard of Yun Jian's name, they would not be shocked. Most of the people who came to the selection were from other provinces. Moreover, some of them knew that Yun Jian was good. Not only would they not be impressed, they would even make things difficult for Yun Jian. Hence, as soon as Yun Jian got out of the car, she became the center of attention of a large group of special forces from different provinces. There was even a special forces soldier who was about 30 years old with medium height and build who circled Yun Jian a few times before teasing Yun Jian in front of everyone. "Little sister, you have come to our selection field to select a place to go to the hunting school. Everyone, take it easy. Don't hurt the little girl during the competition." Chapter 16:13. Stop laughing. Everyone gather. Listening to the mockery directed at Yun Jian by people from different regions, Yu Shaolua walked over with a grim face and growled. Although Yu Shaolua was young, his official position was higher than everyone present. Most importantly, Yu Shaolua was the person in charge of this selection. To put it bluntly, Yu Shaolua was one of the judges of the selection. Therefore, the people who were laughing at Yun Jian immediately froze and no longer dared to laugh. Yun Jian looked very young. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that she was underage. The people who came here were not young. The oldest one was already in his 40s, close to his 50s. The youngest ones were Su Mei, Su Wenming, and Dong Xiu. Of course, even if Su Mei, Su Wenming, and Dong Xiu were considered young, they were still at least 25 years old. After all, those who could go to the hunting school must have a certain level of strength. Today was just a selection to select 3 members who could represent country Z to go to the hunting school. Therefore, the people who came were not young. Usually, those who were strong had to go through a few years of training to achieve great achievements. By the time they reached this level, they were not young anymore. Therefore, when the group of people saw Yun Jian, it was not without reason that they laughed and mocked her. Damn it, this group of people is doing it on purpose. Just ignore them. Here, Sister Mold will protect you. Su Mei saw that the group of people swaggered away after Yu Shaoluo finished talking to them. She stood beside Yun Jian, patted Yun Jian's shoulder, and snorted. "Do you want your little sister to grow moldy with you by protecting her? Go away, it's more useful to have your brother protect you." Su Wenming came over and joined in. He even joked with Su Mei. After Su Wenming came over and said this, Su Mei slapped Su Wenming away. Then, she opened her mouth and glared at Su Wenming. "Brother Wenming, are you being civilized today?" Su Mei bickered with Su Wenming and gritted her teeth. Pfft. Dong Xiu, who was standing at the side with a delicate face, coughed lightly to cover her laughter. Yun Jian only raised her red lips slightly and didn't say much. Come. Everyone is here. Gather. Find your own formation. Let's first briefly explain the rules of this selection. At this moment, a middle-aged man in his 40s with a square face and a serious expression stood not far away and waved at all the special forces soldiers present. This middle-aged man was the main person in charge of this selection, and his name was Duan Muqiao. There were a total of 100 people from the special forces participating in the selection, and all of them had arrived. Hearing Duan Muqiao's beckoning, Yun Jian followed the crowd and casually lined up with Su Mei and Su Wenming. Since everyone is here, then I'll first talk about the process of our selection this time. Duan Muqiao cleared his throat and officially opened his mouth. Everyone here is the best special forces from all over the country. At the same time, we all share the same dream, which is to enter a hunting school to further our studies. As for me, I won't beat around the bush. Our selection has its own rules. Everyone knows what kind of place the hunting school is and how high the mortality rate is. Therefore, in our selection, any one of you may be eliminated at any time during the competition. I'll say something that no one likes to hear, but it must be said. That is, if you're not strong enough, in this month's selection competition, those who lose will stop the competition midway and pack up and leave. This is for your own good. If you're not strong enough, only death awaits you if you're sent to the hunting school. Also, from the moment you enter the selection, your previous name will no longer be used. We'll give you a new random number. In this month, the number will be your name. The moment she received the number, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Her number was 006. Chapter 16-14. Duan Muqiao cleared his throat and continued when he saw that all the numbered cards had been randomly distributed to each member. The number in your hands will be your name in the selection field. From now on, unless you are eliminated from the selection field, the number in your hands will be your name. Do you hear me clearly? We hear you clearly. Everyone replied loudly. Hearing this, the person in charge of the selection field, Duan Muqiao, nodded lightly. Then, he turned around and handed over some instructions to the other person in charge before leaving. Duan Muqiao was not only the person in charge of the selection field this time, but he was also the overall person in charge of the selection field. As the overall person in charge, Duan Muqiao would not appear at the selection field all the time. Today was the start of the selection field, so Duan Muqiao appeared here to announce the rules. After Duan Muqiao left, Yu Shaolua waved at everyone. Everyone, enter the selection field and pack up your things. Our selection competition will begin soon. The moment they heard that the qualifiers were about to start so soon and that there was no chance for them to take a breather, everyone present took a deep breath. However, no one said a word of objection. No one would wait for you to adapt to the environment. If you said a word of no, you would be directly kicked out of the selection field. Yin Jian, what's your number? Su Mei asked excitedly in Yun Jian's ear after the assembly was dismissed. 006. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and uttered nonchalantly. 006. This number was exactly the same as the number she had when she first entered an Hun organization in her previous life. In her previous life, when she first entered an Han organization, she used numbers to refer to each other. Only after a small number of people survived were they allowed to use their own numbers. Heh, we're in luck. My number is 099. This number is second from the bottom. That's good enough. Su Wenming came up from the side and mocked himself with a smile. You can go in now. Wang Buren, the oldest and most composed of the five, spoke up. Wang Buren's words carried a thick sense of awkwardness. Therefore, as soon as Wang Buren finished speaking, everyone present obeyed and walked through the entrance of the selection field. Just as she was about to enter the venue, Yun Jian's phone beeped. She opened the message and saw that it was a message from Chu Ning. It was clear as day. When he opened it, he saw the content of the message. Yun Jian, you have to do your best. Although we can't be there to cheer you on, we, Team Monarch, will support you from behind. I believe you can do it. Seeing this message, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes slightly. She didn't reply, but squeezed her phone and hid it back in her pocket. Then, she followed Su Mei and the others into the selection field. Everyone who has a mobile phone or electronic device, put it here. Mobile phones are not allowed during the selection period. A man in military uniform stood there and shouted with a loudspeaker. Little sister, are you here to participate in the selection with us? Don't you think we should go easy on you? Huh. There was a group of people who were dressed decently. They were all in their 20s and looked average, but they were eyeing Yun Jian's team like a ruffian. One of them, a man who had just turned 25 and was rather good-looking, was looking at Yun Jian with a teasing and disdainful gaze. Like Yun Jian and her team, this group of people came from the same military officer. They were the ones who had mocked Yun Jian at the entrance just now. This guy's name is Zhou Duanzheng. His military officer isn't on good terms with our Vice-Chancellor Ma. He's always picking fights, so just ignore him. Wang Buren stood beside Yun Jian and told Yun Jian. A portion of people who came to the selection field were not really going to the hunting school. They were only here to obstruct those who were at odds with them. Like Zhou Duanzheng and his team. Chapter 16:15. After Yun Jian responded, she placed the phone in the box in front of the man in military uniform who was shouting through the loudspeaker. The selection competition lasted for a month. During this month, cell phones were not allowed to appear. Yun Jian had no intention of using a cell phone, so she placed the phone in the box easily. Just as she placed the phone in the box and was about to turn around, Zhou Duanzheng and the others, who had spoken to Yun Jian contemptuously, blocked Yun Jian's way. "What are you doing?" When Su Mei saw this, she pushed through the crowd and leaned toward Yun Jian. Su Wenming, Wang Buren, and Dong Xiu also stood in front of Yun Jian without hesitation. Su Mei and the others thought that Yun Jian was their junior and needed to be protected. They knew that Yun Jian must have some ability to be here. There were about 10 people in Zhou Duanzheng's group. It was obvious that the military officer who sent Zhou Duanzheng's group to the selection competition was stronger than Principal Ma, so he was given more slots than Principal Ma. At this moment, Zhou Duanzheng was surrounding Yun Jian's group. With Zhou Duanzheng as the leader, the group surrounded Yun Jian's group of 5. After a while, Zhou Duanzheng looked at Yun Jian contemptuously and said, "Little girl, I think you know what's good for you. How about you leave the selection competition in 3 days? I'll reward you with candy." Zhou Duanzheng looked at Yun Jian from the corner of his eyes as he spoke. "Leave in 3 days? Are you threatening her to forfeit? You're too." Su Mei was inexperienced after all. She stared at Zhou Duanzheng with wide eyes. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, Wang Buren held her back. Wang Buren was already 39 years old. He had been with Principal Ma for many years, so he knew a lot about this kind of thing. Zhou Duanzheng's group came over to threaten them because they had more people. Of course, the reason why Zhou Duanzheng's group would openly target Yun Jian, Su Mei, and the others was because of the person who sent them here. It was because the person who recommended Zhou Duanzheng and the others to participate in the selection was at odds with Principal Ma, who recommended Yun Jian and the other 4 to participate in the selection. This led to the current situation. The reason why Wang Buren didn't want Su Mei to continue talking about this was because it wasn't appropriate to talk about it. After all, Zhou Duanzheng and the others had the advantage in numbers. "Little sister, let me give you a piece of advice. If you know what's good for you, then obediently leave. You won't get a single spot in this year's hunting school. If you're smart, hand it over, or else." Zhou Duanzheng didn't continue. However, everyone present knew what Zhou Duanzheng was about to say. "All right, let's go," Zhou Duanzheng said rudely. Turning around, the group headed back to their residence. However, just as they took 2 steps, a voice that was as pleasant as the sound of nature came from behind them, but it was also ear-piercing. "If people like you enter the hunting school, you will definitely die." This voice was as pleasant as the sound of nature, but every sentence was as sharp as needles. It immediately attracted the attention of Zhou Duanzheng and the others who were walking back to their residence. When Zhou Duanzheng and the others turned around and heard that these words came from Yun Jian, who was the youngest and supposedly the weakest, Zhou Duanzheng was stunned for a moment. Even Su Mei, Su Wenming, and the other 3 who were standing beside Yun Jian couldn't help but be stunned. "Hey, listen, what did the little sister say? She said that if people like us enter the hunting school, we will definitely die." Zhou Duanzheng said rudely after he came back to his senses. This sentence once again attracted the attention of all the spectators around them. As Zhou Duanzheng spoke, he even whistled softly. Then, he looked at Yun Jian and continued to speak to Yun Jian while shaking the tips of his toes. "From what the little sister is saying, you've been to the hunting school?" "Ah, ha ha ha." When Zhou Duanzheng said this, everyone around them laughed. Zhou Duanzheng's words were obviously denying Yun Jian. A little sister who was as young as a fart had been to the hunting school? What kind of joke was this? However, just as everyone present was chuckling, they heard Yun Jian's cold voice coming from the opposite side, which struck everyone's heartstrings. Chapter 16:16. Initially, she thought that Yun Jian would be deflated and unable to say anything after what she said. After all, the hunting school was located in a secluded place. Apart from the special forces who were sent to the hunting school for further training, the rest of the people, including the leaders, were not qualified to see the scenery of the hunting school. Most of the things that happened in the hunting school were usually told to the outside world by the special forces who had completed their training in the hunting school. Apart from that, the hunting school and the outside world were two different places that were tightly guarded. Of course, there were one or two people internationally who could enter and leave the hunting school as they pleased, fooling the principal of the hunting school. Of course, there were only one or two of them. Among these two people, the most representative one was Slaying God, the number one assassin on the international ranking. Therefore, after listening to what Yun Jian said, Zhou Duanzheng and everyone present looked at Yun Jian as if she was a joke. Pfft, little girl, how old are you? You said you've been to the hunting school? Zhou Duanzheng was choking with laughter. At that moment, there was no end to the laughter. Yun Jian, ignore them. Let's go. Even Su Mei could not take it when he spoke to an underage child in such a tone. She grabbed Yun Jian's hand and walked toward the dormitory. Everyone present was left laughing so hard that they were choking. Yun Jian did not say anything else. Sometimes, it was better to use actions to prove things rather than using words. The dormitory here was unisex. Of course, every bedroom was separated into male and female bedrooms. In other words, one of the bedrooms next door might be occupied by a woman, while the other one might be occupied by a man. However, in a bedroom with 4 beds, either 4 men or 4 women would be occupied by 4 men. Yun Jian and Su Mei walked into a girl's bedroom together. One bedroom here could accommodate 4 people. Girls only made up a single-digit number of people who came to participate in the preliminaries. Among them, there was no lack of people who relied on their connections to get in. For example, when Yun Jian and Su Mei walked into the bedroom, they saw a woman around 21 or 22 years old lying on the bed with her phone in her hand, chatting intimately with the person on the other end of the phone. Hey, dear, I'm here. I'm in this dormitory. This place is so broken. Well, for you, I'm willing to stay here. Since you want to know the environment here, you should come here yourself. You're making me experience it for you. I can't even run 500 meters. When I go back, you have to make it up to me. Not only did this woman not hand over the phone, but she was also happily chatting with the person on the other end of the phone. There were only 3 people living in Yun Jian's dormitory. In addition to Yun Jian's dormitory, there was another female dormitory next door, which was full of 4 people. In other words, there were only 7 girls out of the 100 spots. Among them, there was no lack of people who had snuck in through connections. All members, listen to my order. Please put on your military uniforms and gather at the gate in 10 minutes. If you don't put on your military uniforms and gather at the gate in 10 minutes, you will not have dinner tonight. An officer's shout came from the door. After the people in each dormitory heard the order, they started to get busy. The girl who was talking on the phone quickly hung up and changed her clothes. What the hell? Not even giving him food? This was too cruel. Did they have to be so cruel? The girl complained as she spoke. She looked as if she had been treated inhumanely. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. At this moment, she seemed to have found her old self in the organization. Cruel? Not being able to put on their military uniforms in 10 minutes and running to the gate without food was considered cruel? In her previous life, when she was in the organization, she had to put on her military uniform and go to the gate in half a minute. If she didn't do it, the machine gunners at the gate would enter and kill the people who were still in the dormitory. Half a minute later, the officer holding the loudspeaker blinked and suddenly saw Yun Jian standing in front of him in her military uniform. He was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but be shocked. Only half a minute had passed. Normally, the fastest man would need about 2 minutes to put on his military uniform and run out. Why did this little girl only need so little time to change and come out so quickly? Chapter 16-17. The military officer with the loudspeaker was indeed stunned, but he quickly reacted and swallowed hard. He gave Yunjian a thumbs up and said, "Little girl, you're good." Yunjian just blinked and didn't say anything. 2 minutes later, the fastest group of people changed their clothes and ran out of their bedrooms. When they saw the small figure standing in the open space from afar, this group of men fiercely stomped their feet and almost spat out the word F***ck in fright. The group of men who changed their clothes and came out of their bedrooms all stomped their feet. The military officer with the loudspeaker saw the group of people standing there in a daze. He thought about how Yunjian changed her clothes and came out of her bedroom so quickly. Were they really no match for an underage little girl? The military officer standing there shouted at the group of people who were stunned, "What are you standing there for? Did you all go to take a dump? You all took so long to come out. Don't you want to eat dinner?" They couldn't even compete with a teenage girl. Only then did this group of people jog over and join the team. Zhou Duanjing was also in the group. Because the military officer was there, Zhou Duanjing didn't dare to say anything. He just glared at Yunjian. 12 minutes later, everyone had finally arrived. The last person came out after 12 minutes. That person was the woman who slept with Yunjian. Her name was Nan Linlin. Nan Linlin came out with light makeup. When she ran over, she thought she wasn't late and ran into the team happily. But as soon as she ran into the team, she was shouted at by the military officer with the loudspeaker, "You, get out of the team. You can't eat dinner tonight." Why? Nan Linlin was stunned. "You're late." The officer yelled at Nan Linlin without showing any pity for the fairer sex. After shouting, the military officer didn't look at Nan Linlin's expression. He turned around and looked at the crowd. "You guys, you can't even compare to a little girl. Do you know that the little girl only used half a minute to change her clothes and come out, but what about you guys? All of you are dragging your feet. If you enter the hunting school like this, it will be a problem whether you can come out alive." The officer's anger was not without reason. What kind of place was the hunting school? Needless to say, the officer was doing this for the sake of everyone present. Half a minute? No, officer, are you saying that she only took half a minute to change and come out? This. The people around were stunned after hearing the officer's words, especially Zhou Duanjing and the others who had just mocked and ridiculed Yunjian. At this moment, they were dumbfounded. I saw it with my own eyes. How could it be fake? After the officer finished speaking, he immediately continued. Let's not talk about other things first. Let's get to know each other. My surname is Fong. You can call me Officer Fong. For the next month, I will accompany you and watch you train. All of your missions will be issued by me personally. I believe that at the entrance just now, our general manager has already told you some things about this. I won't say much here. Speaking until here, Officer Fong gestured to the few officers beside him and asked them to distribute the SOS device in their hands to everyone present. Officer Fong waited for everyone to hold the device in their hands before he continued speaking to the crowd. For your competition, we will use the strictest method. The only thing we can guarantee is that we won't harm your lives. This is the SOS device. You can activate it anytime and anywhere and then give up the qualification for the preliminaries. However, I still suggest that you don't give up so easily. Officer Fong had just finished speaking when a "Kacha" sound was heard. Everyone suddenly heard the sound and looked towards the source of the sound. They saw Yunjian throwing the SOS device in her hand to the ground and stomping on it hard, crushing it on the spot. Seeing this, everyone present exclaimed, "What the F***ck? Are you dumb?" Zhou Duanjing, who had surrounded Yunjian just now, couldn't help but ridicule. "Why did you crush it? Don't you want to leave yourself a way out and a chance to choose to give up?" Officer Fong was also shocked as he asked Yunjian. Under everyone's gaze, Yunjian narrowed her eyes. She calmly said something that made everyone's blood boil, but no one had the guts to say it. Only when I destroy my way out and only have the way forward to survive will I give it my all. Chapter 16:18. Yunjian's words resounded through the clouds. Her heavenly voice made everyone present respect her. In a desperate situation, only those who destroyed all their paths of retreat would give their all in the face of a desperate situation. Yunjian's words were the truth. Yunjian's words shocked every special forces soldier present. A little girl in her teens was actually able to speak of such profound insights. How could he say such shocking words? What exactly had she experienced? Some people might never have thought of this in their entire lives. Some people thought of it, but they would never dare to be like Yunjian. Most people were used to or liked to leave a path of retreat for themselves. But who would have thought that in order to succeed, they had to cut off their heart that was always thinking of taking a step back? Everyone at the scene was stunned, including Zhou Duanzheng and the others who were very unfriendly towards Yunjian. For a moment, there was silence. Of course, not everyone was stunned. There was still one person who did not understand the meaning of Yunjian's words. That person was Nan Linlin. Nan Linlin grew up in the palm of her parents' hands. Her parents were both soldiers. She was born in a military family and her status was not low. Therefore, Nan Linlin was able to use her connections to enter the selection field. Nan Linlin did not have any strength at all. What path of retreat? You're a girl who wants to fight and kill every day. Don't you feel ashamed? Nan Linlin's lips twitched. She rolled her eyes and stood on the spot with her arms crossed. After saying this, Nan Linlin placed her hands that were painted with nail polish on her delicate face like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. Women should treat themselves better. Go out and put on makeup or something. Fight and kill by yourself, but you still have to bring men along to fight and kill. I've never seen such a person before. As she spoke, Nan Linlin shook her head at Yunjian and finished her assessment as if she was mumbling to herself. At this moment, everyone who was shocked by Yunjian suddenly came to their senses. When they came to their senses, they wouldn't feel that Yunjian's words were as shocking as they were at the beginning. You still have the nerve to say that you put on makeup? Where is this place? This is a training ground, not a place for you to put on makeup. I'll give you 10 minutes to clean up the mess on your face right now. Otherwise, you won't be allowed to eat for the rest of the day. When Officer Fong heard Nan Linlin talking to herself, he was so angry that he wanted to hit her. However, he forced himself to hold it in and growled in his calmest voice. Why can't I put on makeup? You didn't say that I couldn't put on makeup before I came in. Nan Linlin was still unconvinced and shouted back at Officer Fong. Officer Fong didn't know how to communicate with this young lady. He clenched his fists and forced himself to calm down. Then, he turned his head and announced to everyone present. All of you, go pack up and have dinner. We'll officially start tomorrow morning. After Officer Fong finished speaking, he turned around and continued to reason with Miss Nan Linlin. As for what Nan Linlin said about her just now, Yunjian felt that it didn't hurt at all. She turned around and walked towards the dormitory. Yunjian's long ponytail swayed with the wind. Her back view looked very energetic. Zhou Duanzheng and a dozen other people walked over and surrounded Yunjian. Hey, little girl, you're Yunjian, right? Zhou Duanzheng looked at Yunjian while shaking his legs. After he finished speaking, Zhou Duanzheng continued to speak to Yunjian without waiting for Yunjian's reply. No matter what philosophy you say, you'll never get a place in the hunting school. If you don't want to leave with injuries, then get out of here, haha. With that, Zhou Duanzheng snapped his fingers and turned around to leave like a ruffian. Just as Zhou Duanzheng turned around, he suddenly felt someone kick the back of his knee. Then, he couldn't help but kneel forward. Chapter 16:19. Yunjian kicked Zhou Duanzheng to the ground. Although Zhou Duanzheng was kneeling on the ground, he did not feel any pain. He turned around and glared at Yunjian. Just then, the people who were with Zhou Duanjing quickly ran over and helped him up. After being kicked down by a girl, Zhou Duanjing naturally could not face it head-on. However, Zhou Duanjing only clenched his fists and said through gritted teeth, "Let's go." After standing up awkwardly, Zhou Duanjing turned his head and glared at Yun Jian. He said loudly, "Just you wait." Then, Zhou Duanjing and the rest left the scene as fast as they could. "Yun Jian, are you okay?" What happened just now only took a few breaths. When Su Mei and Su Wenming ran over, Zhou Duanjing had already left with his men. "I'm fine." Yun Jian retracted her gaze. Her dark eyes darkened as she turned around and went back to her room. At night, Yun Jian lay on the top bunk bed in her room and stared at the ceiling. There were only 2 beds in the room, the top bunk and the bottom bunk. The bottom bunk was occupied by Su Mei and Nan Linlin. "This is the place. Don't think of yourself as a pampered lady here. Since you're here, we'll treat you the same. No one will be treated differently. Your parents have told me that I won't give you any special privileges. So, you'll have to deal with your relationships well and work hard. Your parents want you to have the ability to protect yourself. You can train here. Also, if it's the elimination round, you can stay here as long as you can. Don't force yourself." At around 7:49 p.m., Chief Fang's voice came from Yun Jian's room. "Okay, Chief Fang. I understand. Thank you." After Officer Fang's voice fell, a light but obedient female voice came from the gate. This woman's voice sounded soft, but it was peaceful. "Okay, go in." After he finished speaking, Chief Fang turned around and left. Then, Yun Jian heard the door being pushed open. 2 seconds later, a gentle voice was heard. Hello everyone. My name is Luo Berry." There was no reply after he finished speaking. The girl who called herself Luo Berry paused. She was a little embarrassed, but she didn't back down. "Hello everyone. I was sent here at the last minute. I guess you could say that I got in through the back door. But I'm not here to snatch anyone's spot. My parents thought that I was a little weak, so they sent me here, hoping that I could improve a little here." The girl who called herself Luo Berry was about 1.6 meters tall. She was very slim, but she looked a little weak. She was the type that people would want to protect. She looked like a 14-year-old girl, but in fact, she was 2 years older than Yun Jian. She was already 18 this year. "Hello, my name is Su Mei. My nickname is Moldy. You can call me Sister Moldy." Hearing Luo Mei's words, Su Mei immediately got up from the bed and extended her hand to greet Luo Mei. When Luo Berry heard Su Mei talking to her, she was a little excited. She quickly reached out and held Su Mei's hand. "Hello." Hee. Yun Jian. Yun Jian didn't get up from the bed. She was still lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling as she spoke to Luo Berry. From the conversation between Luo Berry and Chief Fang at the door, she could tell that Luo Berry was the daughter of a rich family. She was here purely to train her skills. Moreover, Luo Berry admitted that she got in through the back door as soon as she entered. Her tone was a little tactful, and she had the elegant demeanor of a rich family's daughter. Yun Jian had a good impression of her, so she introduced herself. "Yun Jian, what a nice name, hee." Luo Berry smiled at Yun Jian, then stuck her tongue out mischievously. Chapter 1620. Nan Linlin's roar was very loud. The room's soundproofing was not very good. Nan Linlin's roar could even be heard from the room next door. Nan Linlin's roar scared Luo Mei. Luo Mei took a step back in fright. She saw Nan Linlin glaring at her fiercely and roaring, "Why are you yelling? You think you're so great just because you got in through the back door? You're making it sound like no one knows how to get in through the back door. Be careful or I'll ask my dad to kick you out." Nan Linlin threatened her right away. Luo Mei was really scared. Nan Linlin also got in through the back door, but her purpose was different from Luo Mei's. Nan Linlin came for her boyfriend. Her boyfriend wanted to enter the hunting grounds, but he refused to come in himself. Thus, Nan Linlin had to help her boyfriend check out the situation here. Who asked her to love her boyfriend so much? After being yelled at by Nan Linlin, Luo Mei was stunned. Ignore her. Come here. Su Mei glared at Nan Linlin and pulled Luo Mei to sit on her lower bunk bed. Yun Jian slept on Su Mei's upper bunk. Now, there was only one upper bunk left in the room. It was right above Nan Linlin's bed. Nan Linlin was not young anymore. She was already 21 or 22 years old. She did not know how to give in to Luo Mei. Thank you. Sister Unlucky. Luo Mei was a little embarrassed to call Su Mei Sister Unlucky. However, seeing Su Mei's nonchalant expression, she did not back down. Don't be afraid. Sister Unlucky will protect you here. Su Mei also liked Luo Mei, so she could not help but say this. Okay. Luo Mei's innocent face immediately blushed and she nodded vigorously at Su Mei. Then, Luo Mei poked her head out from the lower bunk and looked at Yun Jian's upper bunk bed. She met Yun Jian's eyes and nodded slightly at Yun Jian. Nan Linlin snorted. Then, she turned around and ignored Yun Jian and the others. She continued to call them dear and continued to talk about her phone call. Wow, so you're all here for the Hunting Academy's quota? I feel that you're all so powerful. My parents think that I'm too weak, so they let me come here. Luo Mei looked at Su Mei and then at Yun Jian, asking with widened eyes. We're not as powerful as you think. Su scratched her head embarrassedly. To me, you're all powerful. Mei clapped her hands of the world naively. Let's sleep. We'll wake up at 5 tomorrow, Yun Jian said after listening to Luo Mei and Su Mei talk for a while. Okay. Barry nodded and changed into her pajamas. It was already 8 at night. Luo Mei turned Mei suddenly. Luo turned Mei was unlucky suddenly. Mei's Mei are Luo is Luo is was comma at like sleeping. I'm used to it, Yun Jian replied. All right. Luo Barry nodded slightly. Then, she folded her clothes, got onto the top bunk, and went to sleep. The night was as still as water. It was 2:51 in the morning. It was almost 3 o'clock in the morning, the time when people slept the best and entered the deep sleep stage. Woo! 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 Suddenly, the alarm went off. A familiar voice came from the speakers in every room. Everyone who heard the sound, please change your clothes within 5 minutes and gather at the door. If you don't change your clothes and gather at the door within 5 minutes, you'll be disqualified from the selection. Outside the door, Officer Fong was holding a loudspeaker. His voice was transmitted to every room. Basically, everyone would change into their pajamas before sleeping. There was no doubt about it, unless one was extremely lazy. Officer Fong looked at his watch. He estimated that Yun Jian would come out in 30 to 40 seconds. Officer Fong lowered his head to look at his watch. The moment he looked up, he saw Yun Jian's petite figure rushing towards him. The watch moved by 7 seconds and Yun Jian was already standing in front of him. Some people were still sleepy from his surprise attack. What about Yun Jian? She went from the dormitory to the gate in 7 seconds? Didn't she change her clothes before sleeping? Was she so alert? Even the advanced special forces couldn't achieve her speed. Chapter 1621. Officer Fong was once again shocked by Yun Jian. However, he saw Yun Jian standing in front of him in a neat military posture. She did not look like someone who had just woken up from a dream. In response, Officer Fong could only swallow hard. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. It was past 2 in the morning, and it was only a few minutes away from 3 in the morning. This was the time when a person was sleeping soundly. At this moment, the alarms suddenly sounded. Everyone was still in a daze, especially since it was the first time they had come to the selection field. However, Officer Fong had said that if they could not leave their dormitory and reach the gate within 5 minutes, they would be disqualified. At this moment, all the dormitories were agitated. One by one, they tried their best to put on their clothes. But even so, people would feel sleepy when they just woke up. Therefore, the first few men who ran out of the room only came out after about 3 to 4 minutes. They were all trained special forces, but they didn't expect Officer Fong to do such a thing. After all, this was something that had never happened before. Therefore, those who came out in about 3 minutes were already the fastest to react. They cursed in their hearts as they ran. What was going on? Why did he suddenly wake everyone up in the middle of the night? Luo Berry had already rushed out as fast as she could, but she was still a step too late. She took a little over 5 minutes. When she stood there, Luo Berry was already out of breath. Nan Linlin was not in a hurry at all. Although she did not put on makeup and come out, she still took about 10 minutes to gather at the gate. Officer Fong saw that everyone had already rushed out as fast as they could. His face darkened and he immediately relaxed his brows. Today is the first emergency gathering. Your performance is not bad, but it's not enough. In the future, the alarm will be sounded at any time and place. At that time, no matter what you are doing, you must put down the things in your hands, put on our military uniforms, and gather at the gate. Do you understand? Officer Fong said as he walked. Understood. Everyone replied loudly. All right, if you understand, go back to sleep. Today is the first day, so I won't punish anyone. But from now on, if there's an emergency gathering and you don't arrive at the gathering point within the stipulated time, you'll be disqualified and you'll have to pack up and leave. We don't accept idlers here. At this point, Officer Fong glared at Nan Linlin. Nan Linlin felt a little guilty after being glared at by Chief Fong. However, Nan Linlin suddenly glared back at Chief Fong and said confidently, Why are you looking at me? Nan Linlin, if you don't come out in time again, pack your luggage and go home. Chief Fong glanced at Nan Linlin. After being scolded, Nan Linlin rolled her eyes as she turned around and walked towards the dormitory. Are you crazy? Waking me up in the middle of the night, I'm already giving you face by coming out. Chief Fong naturally heard Nan Linlin's complaint, but he ignored it. Instead, he called out to Yun Jian, wait a minute. Yun Jian was about to turn back to the dormitory, but when she heard Chief Fong's call, she stopped in her tracks and turned around. Seeing that Yun Jian was stopped, Zhou Duanzheng and the others stopped in their tracks again. Perhaps it was because Yun Jian was quite outstanding during the day, many people stopped in their tracks and looked over. Chief Fong asked her, Yun Jian, have you had any similar training before? No. Yun Jian denied it without hesitation. Seeing that Yun Jian's sincere gaze did not seem to be lying, Chief Fong lowered his eyes and said, All right, I saw you rush from the dormitory to the gate in 7 seconds. Normal people can't do that, so I was a little surprised. It seems that you're very alert when you're sleeping. As soon as Chief Fong finished speaking, Zhou Duanzheng's silly voice was heard. Zhou Duanzheng and the others were dumbfounded. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.